Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany Rambod, and I am here with a special guest. And I always say special guest, but this one's a very special guest because this is someone that, man, you guys be cracking up all the time. I got 7-time Mr. Olympia, the gift, Phil Heath, in the house.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Finally.
With you.
That's right.
The procreatoro, the man who creates champions on champions on champions.
You're dumb.
Hey, why not?
But I love you.
Exactly.
Oh, God. You know, everyone's asking, when are you going to have Phil on? When are you going to have Phil on? And we've been talking about it for a while, but we've always wanted to do it in person, number one, so that we can do, you know, it'll always be a better quality podcast versus using Zoom or Skype or something along those lines. And number two, we have so much to talk about. There's so many things we can talk about. I think starting off, for those people that don't know or how far back we go back all the way till North Americans, which is
August of 2005.
Yeah. Some of you that are listening to this weren't even born yet.
Yeah. They were drinking their protein shakes out of a sippy cup. I mean,
Out of the mom's boobie.
Oh, colostrum.
Oh,
so yeah, man. North Americans, IFBB North Americans.
Yep.
And I just happened to be there.
After you had just won the USA.
That's right.
And handedly. And then I was there for Omar Deckard.
Yep.
Who should have won, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But he ended up winning the following year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I was there being a friend to Marcus Haley, who didn't get his pro card.
Because of you.
Well, I would say it's because of Factory.
No, why are you saying that?
Because
dude?
he got the second pro card. So I met Marcus at the North Americans. At the Junior Nationals in 2005. He was working with Matt Trex Worldwide, and we were just like, hey, you know, like if I were to go to USA's, let's root each other on. Like we would text each other and stuff like that, and go on the message boards. He would share pictures. I'm like, yeah, man, we'll root each other on. We'll go after the Miss USA title, and then I happened to win the overall. And then the second pro card went to the light heavyweight, which was Factory Mubrak. And then after that, it sucked because, you know, he was very upset, obviously. You know, he wanted to get his pro card. But there's an actual picture in Flex Magazine of me and him. Like, I'm like consoling him with my trophy in my hand. Got my hand on his shoulder because he was like in tears, man. Because back then, you know, there was only 2 pro cards.
That's right.
It was very, very, my heavyweight class at the USA was 44 guys. And he probably had the same in the super. So it was tough, man. And then I told him, I said, I'll support you by going to the North Americans. And, you know, he got his pro card, but then that's where I met you.
Yeah.
And, man, we just hit it off right away. You know, we were just, like, I was obviously a fan of yours because of the work that you'd done with numerous clients, writing about them in the Muscular Development magazine. You had 2 guys, Bill Wilmore and also Charles Rayardi, preparing them for the Nationals,
which was to come a couple of months later. So July is the USA's. You get your pro card. Everybody sees you. You end up, that was what, your 3rd show or 4th?
5th.
5th show.
Yeah.
So let's give a little bit of a little history of Phil Heath. Your first show was what year?
April 4th, 2003.
Okay. And that was in Colorado?
Yep, that was in Boulder, Colorado. Yep.
And what was the show?
It was the NPC Northern Colorado. That's where I met Jay Cutler the first time.
Is that where you took the picture?
He and I took that picture together.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys ever see that picture of a very young Phil with Jay Cutler, that was 2003. And when you look at it, it really, you're like a baby.
Well, I was, dude. I was 23 years old.
23 years old.
A year away from, you know, just got done playing Division I basketball a year, 13 months
The far
prior.
left one.
Yeah,
the top,
far left.
Yeah,
No,
far left. Far left. That one right there.
Yeah, that one, dude.
That one right there. That's the
one.
So
that's 190 pounds versus 290 right there.
190 versus 290. And and then you fast forward literally only 6 years, right? And you guys are on stage together. Mm-hmm. Or actually 5 years.
5 years, dude.
5 years, because that was
5 years. I'm getting 3rd
At the Olympia.
At the Olympia.
Yep.
It's pretty wild.
It's pretty crazy. Pretty
wild.
When
dude.
you really put it in context right now,
it's
right?
Like, and we could have maybe done it sooner. You know, I qualified for the Olympia both in 2006 and 2007 and decided because of you saying like, look, man, you have the ability. Obviously you won a couple pro shows and stuff, but like it's time to let the muscle grow, get more time in the gym. You're going to get seasoned veterans. Why be out of the top 10 just to say that you went to the Olympia? And I'm like, I ain't down for no participation trophy BS. Like, I want to be competitive. So we always maintained a really good coach-pupil relationship.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're so coachable because of your team sports background.
Yeah.
Because, look, again, there's so much stuff we can talk about, but let's start from the beginning because I feel that even though you were the first Instagram Olympia champion.
Right.
Right. Meaning that your 7-year reign was in the beginning ages of the social media generation.
Right.
Right. And again, that has a whole different can of worms to open up because so many different things happened with that because the Generation Iron movie that we'll talk about, there's a lot of things that we definitely need to touch on. But as people constantly ask me what was different about Phil versus everybody else, I feel so many different people have different levels of coachability. And the ones with the lowest level did not execute very well because they always thought that they knew better than the coach. So therefore, they were not coachable or they would listen to too many people. Yeah. But with you, what was really your, superpower was that you would get focused, you would get information, and you would execute. And I feel that that's what was really, really special about you. Not only is your genetics, and you call it the gift because you're genetically gifted, but you worked around the things that you weren't gifted on because you weren't the widest guy. Jay Cutler up there was super, super wide. And you had that more of that bubbly look, but that happened after you were able to create those fibers to be able to give you more of a 3D look when you were getting more muscle maturity. But when you started in sports, starting out, did you start out playing basketball when you were really young?
No, I was obviously interested in basketball. I was born in '79, so growing up in the '80s, it was all about sports. It was all about competitive sports. I didn't get on my first recreational basketball team until I was, I want to say in the 5th grade. So that's 10, 11 years old. Mm-hmm. But I remember at 9, my parents put me in a basketball camp where I would actually go for an entire week on a college campus. You stay there and you learn the game morning, noon, and night. And I remember that being so freaking cool. I would just stay up watching the games on TV, begging my parents to take me to games. And when I was, 5th grade, man, I played on a rec league team and I really enjoyed it, just enjoyed being around other kids because I was raised as an only child and just having a really good childhood, just playing those team sports, got into track and field thereafter and was really good at that. I was very, very fast, ran the 100, 200, 4x1 relay, long jump, did all that stuff. And I just always loved being an athlete.
But what made you so coachable? Were you like that when you were young? Did you like to listen to the coach and say, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and follow everything?
This was back in the day where you could, let's be real. This is back in the day, Hany, where child rearing was prevalent in most households, right? Not to say that I was growing up getting my butt whipped, but when you were told to sit down and shut up and pay attention to your parents, you were told that. It was not nice. And there was a reason for that because, your parents are trying to get you to focus and to be quiet while they're doing things. Being raised as an only child, you do something wrong, you can't put it off on your brother or sister. So I had to have a lot of discipline, living with my mom and my stepdad. So getting into with the coaches, oh my gosh, my first basketball coach was literally you ever watch that movie Bad News Bears?
Yeah.
Baseball, the coach is half drunk, drunk half the time. That was him.
That was your old coach?
That was my first basketball coach. I mean, this guy would show up.
And how old were you?
10, 11 years old, smelling is coach drunk? Smelling like Miller Lite, for real. And he would just yell at us. He would call us names.
Old school,
bro. And then as I got older, I was always around good coaches, though. The guy wasn't a bad coach. It was just that, that was a culture back then. Like, he would literally, I'm just going to cuss, man. Like, he would be like, man, you guys playing like some pussies, man. 11, 12-year-old kids. I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, crap. And then as a teenager, I was around another coach who had played professional football. His name is Ron Howard. You could pull him up. Pull up Ron Howard, NFL football player. And
is that him?
That was my coach. Put the far left, the top left. That's a bad dude right there, bro.
He's on a skyscraper right now. That's the picture we're looking at. And the dude is like way above the city.
Bro, NFL players back in the day had to have real jobs in the offseason.
Because they didn't have the money.
That was one of my first coach. That was my track coach, my basketball coach in JV.
In high school.
Uh-huh. And he was my gym teacher in middle school. So and he won a championship with the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
So I was around like people that no BS. You think that guy had a no BS attitude? I mean, come on.
100%.
Like, so I was told to do this, but then I was also taught to do this and it will yield championships. It will yield greatness, right? And when you're 13 years old and you're looking at your gym teacher that has a Super Bowl ring, you're like, bro. And it's got diamonds all over it. So then you realize, like, I got to listen. I got to buy into the system. And it just kept going, man. And every time I listen, I was thinking, well, if I listen and I execute, I get rewarded. So it was like that good reward system back then. Mm-hmm. You do what you're told, you get gold stars. You do what you're told, you get an A. You do what you're told, you execute, you get better. You get better, you get better. And I always gamified everything, and I just wanted to be better than everybody.
Because that's that competitiveness in you.
Yeah, and I grew up in a neighborhood where my neighborhood had names such as Jamal Crawford, Nate Burleson, that's on CBS in the morning with Gayle King, that played 13 years in the NFL. That was my neighbor.
Wow.
Who was one of 4 boys, whose older brother is now coaching, I believe, in the NBA G League. You got a lot of different ball players that, grew up in just this little area of South Seattle, Washington. Mm-hmm. So imagine like playing on the play field. I'm playing with those guys, Nate Robinson, slam dunk champion. You got, Jason Terry that played at Franklin High School, Brandon Roy. You got tons of guys, man. And then you got the guys that didn't make it because they weren't coachable. And I was able to see that early on, like as a 8th grader, looking at guys on varsity that were just great athletes, did something stupid, sold drugs, got into gangs, got into fights. Some got shot, some killed. My first high school dance, one of my friend's brothers got shot in the face 6 times about 15 yards away from me.
Wow.
So I learned at a very early age, you got to do things right. Like, you can't screw around because you may lose your life. So you talk about coachability. I just wanted to like have fun in high school, play, be competitive, talk shit with my boys. And then try to get a scholarship, man, because I didn't want to stay in that environment. So,
was that your mom, though? Was that your mom trying to say, hey, look, you need to go out and get a scholarship. I need you to go to college. You need to be able to try to do that?
They were more about just education. It's not throwing my parents under the bus, but I don't think they ever thought in their wildest dream that their son would get a Division I scholarship for basketball. They knew that I was smart enough to get a scholarship.
Of some sort.
For education. Mm-hmm. But I was filling out college applications as a junior in high school. You take your PSAT, you take your ACT and SAT, you take those scores, you send it in. I mean, I was getting recruited by Pepperdine, Santa Clara, Cal Poly. What else? There's another couple of them, but a lot of California schools.
Was it all for basketball?
No, academics, Pepperdine, Santa Clara hoops, Cal Poly for sure. But then I was gonna run track over at USC and get a walk-on, try to be a walk-on for hoop. And I had to apply as a student because I was like, well, push come to shove, man. Like, at least you get your education. But then you realize the price tag. You're like, my parents ain't got $17,000 a year just for me to get an education. That was back then,
Yeah.
It's probably triple that now.
Oh, it is. It's way more.
So, my parents really didn't think about, oh, this kid could get a scholarship. But me playing on the AAU circuit, I played at that national basketball tournament that you probably have seen in July during the Mr. USA competition. There's the largest.
Yes.
One. Yeah.
You see all the basketball players.
So I played in that back in like 97.
It was always at UNLV, I think.
Yep. So it's always at UNLV. It's at like all the other high schools, Cimarron, Grant, all those different high schools. And we happened to play against like the defending champions from Illinois. And that team was called Illinois Fire, I believe. And they had like all these guys that played in you know, they were like Adidas sponsored, Nike sponsored guys, you know, like it's called ABCD camp, stuff like that. Like these are like the top guys that would get like McDonald's All-American guys. Wound up having high score in that game. And I had a couple dunks and I was on the front page of the sports section.
Yeah. And you got to remember, for those that are listening, Phil's only 5'9".
Yeah. And I was probably 5'8", 5'7" back then. So I was able to dunk. I was able to do a lot of cool stuff. And that going back to coachability, I had a coach by the name of Jason Baskett, and his biggest thing was having the confidence, him instilling confidence in you, because you get a lot of coaches that just talking shit to you all the time, you know, trying to beating you up, man. And this guy was like, I'm going to talk shit to you because you didn't pull up for three. And you're like, but it's 2-on-1 fast break. He goes, and can you shoot it? Can you shoot a wide open three? I'm like, yeah. How many times can you make it? So let's try. So he's like, if you can hit 6 out of 10 with a hand in your face in practice, do it in a game. I was like, wow, you gave me the green light.
Yeah. So
that enabled me to, you know, really start harnessing that killer inside and just going for it. And, you know, I was able to run with that. Obviously, I had that moment that got me recruited. And shout out even to my high school coach, Mike Bethia. You know, he's coached a ton of different NBA guys. You know, we're talking about Jamal Crawford, Nate Robinson, DeJounte Murray, that plays for the Hawks right now, Kevin Porter Jr., and then you got a plethora of other guys that went Division I. But all those kids had to be coachable. And for me, it was all about coachability and really just you and I have talked about this many times. Why are you hiring a coach to kind of have dominion over your physique that has a track record of success and you don't want to listen? And your ego is so freaking big that you think that your best friend knows more than someone like an expert. And I remember you and I working together, and I did my first Arnold Classic. I know we're jumping around here, but like I did my first Arnold Classic in 2007, placed 5th. And this was against guys in their prime, like Jackson Jackson, Victor Martinez, Gustavo Bedell, and Tony Freeman all beat me. And that's not bad for your first time out, you know, second year pro. And I had people back in Denver saying, yeah, man, you should work with this guy. You should work with this guy. I'm like, these are like amateur coaches. Yeah. They're not even like, they don't have a pro on their roster, but you're telling me I should switch camps after I just won not just one pro show, 2 pro shows back-to-back weekends my first year in 2006 against seasoned veterans. And you want me to kick Hany to the curb? You guys are freaking stupid. So for all you guys out there that, you know, want to hire a coach and you've had some success and stuff like that, how about this? Execute everything that he or she is saying. And when it doesn't work, you then give them the look like, hey, man, this shit didn't work, man. Like, because a coach is what? A person that can make adjustments at any given moment in time. Now, if they can't make those adjustments, then that coach should be fired. Yeah. But I knew your track record, and I felt, you know what, we're going to figure this out. And because I liked you, I respected you, and you have a different type of brain. You know what I mean? Like your background it isn't just bodybuilding. You know, you consulted with aerospace companies, and I mean, you're a geek. Yeah. You're a super nerd, super professor, whatever you want to call it. But like,
no, that's different. He's a great professor.
You're an intellectual dude. And I don't think a lot of other coaches are, but I don't think a lot of athletes are self-aware of the fact that they're not really giving it their all. Like a lot of guys will say, yeah, I'm doing cardio, knowing damn well they're not.
Right.
They rely on,
especially back then.
Yeah, they're relying on PEDs more than, you know, raw talent and ability.
Yeah.
You know, they're willing to take the shortcuts and they're willing to listen to the peanut gallery. And one thing I will remind everybody that's listening, Hany Rambod is not the coach for you if you need someone to say, good job, keep going, good job. Hany Rambod is the type of guy that's like, and do it again and again. One more. You guys watch the videos. One more. And you're like, dude, one more was like 10 reps ago. One more. And you're like, and it's almost like he's pulling the freaking, it's like snakes have fangs, but he's pulling the venom out. They can bite you, but the venom may not come out. He's pulling the venom out, dude. And once he can drive that out of you, it's like, okay, now we can work together. And that's a much more deeper level than I think most coaches understand and know how to extract from their client. But that's why you're who you are.
Well, no, I appreciate it. But I think that what really stands out is the fact that in the way we jive together worked so well because we had a lot of commonalities, which means that like we both grew up as only children. Mm-hmm. We both have very focused views, but you were good at staying your lane as an athlete and allowing me to be the coach. Yeah. And I think that was really good. But whenever somebody feels, and I've had a lot of these clients in the past where they were like, they want to feel like they also have so much knowledge that they want to just come up with something that is not right about your system in their own head. I'm going to do a little more cardio. I'm going to do a little less cardio, or I'm going to add more carbs because he doesn't really know. And what it does is it doesn't do anybody any justice, because what it does is it creates variability that the coach doesn't know. So they don't know what's really working and what isn't. But with us, you were so transparent because you were like, look, man, I really have never been coached formally. I had some help from my friends. When I turned pro, I did a couple of shows, but I really am going to give it to you. Here, grab the steering wheel. Let me know. Take a ride in the car. Tell me what needs to be adjusted. I'll jump in. You help me dial in this car. You're the race car driver. Your body is the race car. I'm the mechanic. Yep. And I'm going to help try to be able to dial this in. And I remember the first show we were working together, and a lot of people don't know this. We had to be secret about it. Yeah. You know, and the reason why we had to be secret about it is because I wrote for a magazine, Muscular Development, which as of today, and this is what's so crazy about it, Steve Bleckman, who's the owner, just shut down the magazine today. Yeah. Crazy. It's been around for many, many years, decades. And from 2003 to about a little over 2013 or 14, every month for like over 120 months, I had a column in there called The Pro Creator. Yep. So came out a couple years before you turned pro, and that's the one that he was, you were referencing. Yeah. You used to read, and I would talk about my guys. And at the time, 2001, I had the USA overall winner Quincy Taylor. 2002, I had Idris Wardell. 2003, it was Chris Cook, Mike Dragna. Those two winners at that show, and then it kind of went on. And then 2005 was when I had Ray Artie, right, and also Bill Wilmore, and you kind of shadowed me. And it was very interesting because now that I look back at it and how you explain it, was that we were talking starting the North Americans, which was a couple of months before the Nationals. Right. But you came to Nationals and you're like, man, let's go hang out. And I believe it was after the Olympia. And at the Olympia, we hung out.
That's really where it set the tone for me to want to hang out, or at least when we say hang out, I knew that you were working the Nationals a month later. Yeah. So I couldn't distract you from your clients. I mean, why would I do that? But yeah, it was at the Olympia where we really got to hang. Right.
And I included you in a lot of the events. Yeah. Because you were the new guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I just turned pro. I was getting one ticket to go to the Olympia. Imagine being on the cover of the Flex magazine the night you turn pro at the USA's. I get that cover, your life changes, and anyone that was in that magazine era, your life did change. Everyone would go to the Barnes & Noble, any type of convenience store had your picture. Like you were known. every doctor's, dentist office. They had Flex, Muscle and Fitness everywhere. So my life was changing very, very quickly. And then at the Olympia, I worked the expo with Weider. And
were you with Metrics then? Or
no,
not yet?
no,
it was
not
just
yet.
Weider Nutrition?
Just actually, that was when
they were all combined still?
they're all combined, but they had already sold the supplements. They already sold Schiff.
Okay.
So I was getting paid as if I was working for the supplement company, but I wasn't. So they kept my pay a lot higher. So shout out to Robin Chang for helping me get more money out the gate. But it was that Olympia after party.
Yep.
So I got to watch, obviously, Ronnie Coleman win number 8. That was pretty dope. I mean, even though I was friends with Jay, we weren't as close. I mean, we had just met like 2 years prior. So I can't say we were like best friends yet. You know what I mean? But I remember watching Ronnie Coleman win. I was like, damn, dude, that's a big ass dude, bro. That shit. I mean, I know how big Jay is, but this
dude's
different. This is different.
Yeah.
This is a little different. And then I was able to see you guys over at Tao nightclub. You know, we were hanging out. And I'll never forget it because you guys were up on a stage and I was kind of like, hey, like, what's going on? And you guys are like talking. And I was like, and you're like, come on up. And then Ronnie like reaches down and just kind of like picks me up.
like a sandow.
Like it's nothing. Like he just won the show, you know. It's like, oh yeah, dude, come on. And I'm like, oh my God, like this guy is that strong.
Yeah.
So we end up hanging out all night. But during that time, I had asked Ronnie about who I should work with. And my eyes were already thinking about you know what I mean? But like, I just had to hear it from him.
Right.
And he said, you. And I was like.
Which is crazy because I wasn't there when you asked him that.
No.
And I don't even know when that was.
Yeah.
But I know I've heard you tell the story to many people. But I know that you also had reached out to Chad, who was coaching Ronnie.
Right.
And again, Ronnie and I were really good friends, and I was coaching his, at the time, girlfriend.
Right.
So we were always hanging out. But I was bringing up my own guys that were going from amateur to pro, hence the nickname, the Pro Creator. And then was writing for Muscular Development Magazine, and then kind of building my own stable.
Exactly.
And then, but it was funny that you know, and I don't think you told me that until way later.
Yeah, way later. I didn't tell you. I mean, it was just one of those things that, you know, at the North Americans in 05, you know, I'm the new kid, right? I'm the new guy on the block, you know, like everybody's like being super cool. And then they're trying to tell you what you should do. You know, I'm talking to Flex Wheeler, I'm talking to Dexter, I'm talking to all these different guys, and no one mentioned you. And they were mentioning other trainers, you know, they were mentioning Chris Aceto, they were mentioning Joe McNeil, they're, you know, a lot of different people, right?
Whoever was up big then.
And these are still, you know, big name guys.
Yeah.
And I understood like where Weider was because they had a close relationship with Chris Aceto. So they wanted me to be a Weider guy with a Weider guy, with a Weider coach. And it kind of made sense. People don't realize, like, imagine Weider, the publications and muscular development, like Marvel versus DC.
Correct.
It's pretty much the same. Like, but we like hated each other. I mean, we as corporations, there was like
they didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other. They didn't want the athletes to like each other. Like it's kind of weird, but it was necessary at the time. So no one recommended us to work together, and I thought that was pretty odd. And then I had already reached out to Chad through Steve Bleckman.
Okay.
And you know, for whatever reason, I mean, it was probably because it was a different number or whatever. I left a VM, you know, with Chad. Didn't respond. And I just thought, well, okay, it is what it is. No big deal. Like, he's trained, you know, he's trained Ronnie Coleman. He's trained like Flex Wheeler at one point. He's trained a lot of different guys. Okay. And then once Ronnie Coleman said, I should work with you, I was like, done. I was like, that's all right. And the reason was, he said, you need a person that knows what they're doing, so then you don't have to spin your own wheels. Because obviously you have the talent. You haven't been doing this that long, right? I was like, yeah, man, I just started really lifting like 2-3 years ago. He was like, oh man, like, then you need to work with him because he can tell you like what to do. You don't need to be trying to figure that out being a pro because you'll waste your time. And that kind of like went with Ronnie. Like, Ronnie probably at the very beginning, even though he was with, you know, Brian Dobson, training at the gym, he probably didn't know everything he needed to do, right?
Right.
For a while. And I feel like I shaved way more time, you know, experimenting, stuff like that.
You spent less time having to try to figure it out.
Right. And back then there was no, I mean, you barely had the internet. I mean, we had message forums.
That's why we bought magazines.
Right.
Because you get the articles in the magazines because you couldn't get it on the internet. If you did, you'd get like a portion of it and it says, buy the next issue for the rest of the column.
Yeah.
And that's how they would sell magazines. But I think you made a really good point because I think the other thing that the reason why Ronnie probably recommended me, and at some point we got to get Ronnie on here and talk a little bit more about it, is the fact that he saw me training these guys, but I would be in the gym. I would help them with their posing. I would help them with their nutrition. I would help them with everything. Right. It wasn't just where Chad was really good at being able to send over the diets. Right. And I don't know how often he would get into the weights, but you don't see him in the gym with the guys. He wouldn't travel to the gyms and do that. Where I would get up, and when I was training Quincy, I would fly to LA from San Jose, and I would be able to go in there and I'd be like, holy shit, Quincy, we need to teach you how to train back so that we can get your back ready. Right. And we need to be able to train this. And so I would get on a plane and go do that. Now, again, I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I didn't have that situation. So I was all in on every aspect of it, even to the point where I'd help my athletes with contracts.
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, every aspect, because how did that matter? Well, that would help with stress.
Less stress. Yeah.
So that would help with less stress. And that's how I started doing that for Ronnie, because Ronnie asked me, he goes, well, I saw you do this for Melvin. I saw you do this for this guy. I saw you do this for that. So I want, when his contract ended with Weider and he was going to decide if he was going to go to Muscle Tech or somewhere else, I had a phone call from BSN looking for an athlete. Yep. And Chris Ferguson hit me up. Chris and Scott were the two owners of BSN. And at the time, they were a smaller supplement company. But they were really aggressive. And they said, who's the best athletes available that you know? I was like, you can't afford them. And they're like, try us. And it was like, his name is Ronnie Coleman. And they're like, Ronnie Coleman, 7-time Mr. Olympia? I'm like, yeah, Ronnie Coleman. And they're like, oh, what do we got to do? And I said, you got to come up with a number. And so I called up Ronnie and I said, Ronnie, here's a company. They're looking. They were trying to find somebody kind of more, moderate priced, but they're willing, because of you and how your greatness, are willing to try to work out a number. And he says, just do me a favor. You've done this for other guys that I know, and you gave them, got them good deals, and you were able to do that. Can you do it for me? And I said, sure. You want me to do it? I'll negotiate for you. And so on the contract that he eventually signed, there's 4 signatures. There's Scott James, who's the owner of BSN, part owner. Then you have Chris Ferguson, the other owner. You have Ronnie Coleman, and you have mine as the witness to that. So, and we signed it the morning of that Arnold Classic, and then everybody overnight knew who BSN was. And then they came out with NO Explode, and then it literally went bonkers, crazy. And then they ended up selling it for $150 million several years later. But
those were great times back then, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say great times as a up-and-coming guy, such as myself, seeing Ronnie get signed with a bigger company, and then understanding that there's real money in this sport. Yeah. Like there was a substantial amount of money. I remember always watching, because again, for me, when I turned pro, I wasn't like a scrub pro. Like I was like one of the guys. Right. So I was able to be privileged to be able to sit at different tables.
Right. Because you had a contract with your supplements, but with supplement company, but you also had back then a contract with either Weider Publications, or Steve would get aggressive and pay you to be with Muscular Development. Right. And whenever there's competition, it increases the price. And at the time, that really helped the market. Right. And then the same thing happened with BSN versus Muscle Tech. And then the contract started to grow.
Yeah, because they did. I always tell people that too, like just like in other sports, like fans may not understand, like fans should always root for athletes to get paid tons of money. Here's why. Because it'll even allow the lowest paid get more money. The person that is 10th at the Olympia to get more. So, you know,
back in the day, Muscle Tech used to do a contract where you turn pro and you get this $2,000.
Dude, I could tell you the first contract I was offered. I was running a retail store in Bally Total Fitness of a Colorado Boulevard in Exposition. I still remember the place called the Galleria. I get a phone call. It was from Steve Minardo. He's not there anymore, obviously, but it was a referral through Jay Cutler. And Jay was like, hey, these guys are going to hit you up. I need you to send over like a cover letter, like a resume, you know, like, and I didn't understand any of this jargon. All I knew being fresh out of college, you want a cover letter and resume? I went online and I actually studied the corporation of Iovate Health Sciences, researched the whole company. I did an actual real cover letter.
And for those of you that don't know, Iovate was the parent company of MuscleTech.
Yeah. So I did a real cover letter and resume. Mm-hmm. You know, because I went to college for business and IT at the University of Denver, right? So I did a real resume and then also typed in that aspiring bodybuilder did these amateur shows, such and such and such and such. You know, worked an IT job at this place, that place. And Steve Menardo calls me up and was like, can I speak to Phil Heath? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you calling for the marketing position? You got a really good physique. Because I added pictures to it.
Okay.
And I was like, no. Like I'm a referral from Jay Cutler. Like he told me to send a cover letter and you know, like a press kit.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh man, I thought you were trying to get a marketing job.
Yeah, because it was almost like here's my resume.
But I didn't know. So I was trying to get a job, and then to fast forward, it was $1,500 and like $350 worth of subs a month.
Yeah.
And then if you turn pro, it'll double. No. It was going to be $2,500. So here's the problem. I was like, okay, I'm currently getting ready for the junior nationals.
Right.
In my opinion, I'm going to win this thing. Mm-hmm. So if I sign this now, I'm pigeonholed for, let's just say 2 months.
Right.
And then what if I win the USA?
Right.
So I told him, I said, here's the problem. I'll sign this deal, but for the $2,500 now. And then when I turn pro in a month or 2 months, we can renegotiate this entire thing. But at least I'm already locked in. I'm already in the system. I'm getting direct deposit. You got the photo shoots of me winning my pro card. They said no. And I was like, no, you were literally just ready to give me a marketing job, making more money, making I think it was like marketing job, like 65 grand.
Okay.
But yet you were going to give me a job for basically like 30 grand as a bodybuilder, which would require way more time, effort, and money. I realized right then and there, I was like, you got to be more about your business, Phil Heath. Like you got to be understanding of how this all works.
Yeah.
And you know, it's, but hearing about Ronnie Coleman, Ronnie Coleman getting paid that money, Jay Cutler got paid that money.
Yes.
Then Dexter Jackson got paid that money.
Well, you know,
I already,
about that.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know if you're privy to tell this information.
Well, I can because the NDA is done. So I tried when that whole deal went down. Things got so heated between BSN and MuscleTech at the time.
Oh yeah,
that BSN wanted to basically bring in everybody, right? So, and at the time, the number 2 guy was Jay.
Yep.
Number 1 guy was Ronnie, and they said, "Hey, we need the number 2 guy," and Jay was willing to, depart. And so they're like, "Okay, we want you, Hany, to run our athlete program. Who do you think that we should bring on?" I said, "Well, Jay's a no-brainer, but can you afford Jay?" And this and that. They're like, "Oh man, we're selling a lot of Animal Explode."
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be a funny story because it was a big dollar amount, and he says, "Yeah, I want to do it." Well, he didn't say that he had it. They had the first right of refusal.
Yeah.
And he never mentioned that part of his contract.
So he's able to take the contract and then go back, right?
And then he had to take the contract. Then he went back, renegotiated, and then was able to close that deal.
you helped him get a better deal with MuscleTech. No question about it.
That's what he did. And
could you imagine BSN having both Ronnie and Jay?
Well,
let's be real about this. I mean, MuscleTech was a juggernaut, no question about it. And they sold for way more than what BSN did.
100%.
But the hype,
it would have been epic. But here's the other thing. They said, "Okay, who else do you have that's up and coming?"
Yeah, man.
And I said, here's a guy that I think is going to be up and coming. And like, what's he looking for? I said, 30, 40 grand. Because that's what the number was at the time for you. And they looked at it, and they looked at the pictures, and I think you had just won the...
Must have been like USA's or something.
No, it was, I believe it was around that time you had won the USA. We might have just won
There's no way they
It was
offered that low of
it was something.
deal.
Maybe it was pretty close. Maybe it could have been right before you.
It had to be right before.
It might have been right before you won your first show. But whatever it was, I remember they sat on it. They sat on it, and to this day, I torture Scott James and Chris, but I see Scott a lot more because he lives here in Dallas, the old owner of BSN, and I torture him. I think we went out to dinner about a month ago. I bring it up every time.
As you should. Shout out to Scott James. You owe me like steak dinner for life.
This is what he said. They go, him and it's not just him. It was him and Chris.
Him, Chris, James, Tracy.
Yeah, all the guys, man, all the guys from BSN.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't see what you see in this guy named Phil Heath. That's what he said. He's like, because they're like, we don't think he could be Mr. Olympia, and we just don't see it.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say, oh, okay. I was like, because you know me,
right.
I can't just be like, oh, okay.
Right.
I was like, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, okay, look, I know what you're saying. He's no Ronnie Coleman, but I think he has got a lot of greatness in him. And I think that, again, I was the athlete manager, right? And I said, look, I think that he's going to be really, really good. And they're like, well, we've been thinking about it, and it's a pass for us. And it wasn't a huge amount of money. It was whatever it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge amount of money. And you got to remember, valuations have changed a lot because of TikTokers, because of right now YouTube and all these YouTubers. They're the ones that drive the market now,
Right.
Because they're the ones that can show instant gratification with their codes and everything else of how much they bring.
Right.
It's not about winning shows. Back then, it was about winning shows because there was no other competition with the competitors.
Yeah, it didn't matter how good you looked in your bathroom,
No.
raising your fucking drawers down a little bit to show your freaking V.
Right.
It was more about like what have you done?
That's right.
And I can piggyback off of that, like
because of the ads. Because just remember, because in the magazines had 40 or 50 ads in one magazine of 300.
Right.
You'd have 40 Muscle Tech ads in there.
Right.
And you'd have these before and afters that Muscle Tech would run. You'd have kind of Jay sitting there, bulking at 310 pounds.
Well, they were doing a lot of storytelling with these ads as well,
right.
Talking about how
They're called
products
advertorials.
Yeah, advertorials, exactly. And, to coincide with that story, which is hilarious, there's lack of vision all the time. I mean, and regarding with BSN, with Ronnie Coleman, I don't blame them because of who they also had on roster. They had Monica Brandt, they had Triple H, like they were building like this.
No, not yet. That came later.
Okay.
Well, Monica was with them for a little bit of time, but Triple H came later. But what had happened was that in the bodybuilding world, Ronnie had already won 7.
Right.
They were able to take that, create Yeah Buddy kind of like videos and all of those things where they would have pictures of him squatting on the back of the NO Explode bottle.
Yeah.
And it was a very new category. Pre-workout was around, but before that there was like Ultimate Orange. There was some other kind of stuff, but it wasn't heavily marketed yet.
No, not yet.
So Chris, having a great had a great mind for marketing and marketing degree, he slapped on the Ronnie Coleman, Yeah Buddy, in all those crazy videos. And
it just so happened that Ronnie Coleman was, doing videos like the Cost of Redemption at that same time, where he's squatting 800 pounds. They were able to use that. I mean, it was a perfect storm. So it just made absolute sense to combine forces. And for me, of course, just coming out of the gate, even though I have that, that cover of Flex, big deal, right? Next big thing, whatever. Going into my first pro show, obviously you had this conversation. I had another conversation. So Jay hits me up and he was like, hey, I think you should go with Muscle Tech, like they're great. They treat me great. And I said, okay, cool. Well, I already had that conversation with Steve Menardo. He's like, no, I totally get it, man. Like Dave Conlon's going to hit you up. I said, okay. What's the number? I told you you'd sign for like $100,000. It's a lot of money. You should take it. I said, okay. They call me up. Dave calls me up. He hits me with like $68,000. And this is about, I think we're like 4 weeks out from my pro debut. And this is how these companies used to do it. Like they try to get you in an emotional state, right? They like, oh yeah, because they know that you're, and maybe it was just coincidence. So we're on the phone, everything is cool. He gives me the number and I said, man, that's way off. He goes, excuse me? I said, yeah, man, like, didn't you talk to Jay? And I was kind of like, I wouldn't say arrogant about it, but I was like, didn't you talk to him though? Like, isn't that your guy? You know what I'm saying? Like he referred, like he organized this. And he was like, yeah, but we came up with this. I said, okay, well, I don't like it and I'm not going to sign it. He goes, oh, really? Well, and I said, why didn't you, why not 100? Why not 85 or, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Why this number? And he was like, well, you haven't done anything yet. I said, oh, well, I'm about to, and I'm about to beat all your fucking athletes in a few fucking weeks. And I said, and here's the best part about it. We're going to have a different conversation. So, won the pro debut, turned around and won the New York Pro.
But that was like a week or two later.
No, it was a week later.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a week. It was back-to-back weekends.
Didn't you have to go to LA in between?
So we can talk about that. So we do the pro debut.
Yeah. Now I remember.
Yes.
Yes.
In 2005.
It was the weekend
Colorado
of Pro.
The Colorado Pro, Sean Ray Colorado Pro-Am.
Right.
We do first show together.
Shredded,
bro. Fuck, just shredded.
Yeah.
I mean, when people were talking about like nowadays when people say, oh yeah, you can see his glutes through his freaking shorts and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, I used to walk around with white spandex.
Yeah.
And people would be like, that's crazy. That like Phil Heath got real like grill marks.
Yeah.
Through his glutes, and
and the reason for that was because I knew you weren't going to be the biggest guy.
Hell no. I probably weighed like 210.
Yeah. Well, how much did you weigh when you turned pro?
Well, you got to keep in mind it was a 2-day show, and I weighed in I think Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
I was like 210. So
I think we were like between 210 and 214. For some reason, I have 214 in my head.
Maybe 212. I remember 212.
You could have won the 212s, bro.
Oh my god. Not with that weak back, man. Like
yeah, your back.
That back was.
You didn't
weak,
have a back.
I didn't have all that then, but I was shredded.
Yeah.
Like it was shredded.
But again, put things in context for all the listeners. When we were getting ready for that show, nobody could see us together because the cat would be out the back, and then they would put pressure on him. They were like, "Don't work with somebody from another magazine,"
because people don't realize, like, you guys, like, if they would have known, then I think each, like, for instance, Weeder would have been pissed because they'd have been like, well, wait a minute, now Hany Rambod knows everything with our athlete who we're paying exclusive rights to.
Right.
So who could be first to market? Hany has his own column. So they're probably thinking like, oh shit, we're going to lose out. Like
we're going to lose some information.
We're going to lose some information and,
Right.
and storytelling and stuff like that. But it didn't really matter because backstage, I did my first round.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest things that a lot of you guys don't know about me is that early on in my career, I was scared shitless to be on stage. Like you see the videos of me walking out, Dream Killer activated, like I'm about to, it wasn't always like that. So walking out there at my first pro show was kind of like walking out there at my first amateur show, very scared and intimidated because you're seeing guys backstage and you're fans of these guys. I got to see Bill Wilmore. I got to see, Marcus Haley. I got to see, was Bill Wilmore in that? No.
No, he hadn't turned.
Marcus Haley was, David Henry.
Darren Charles.
Darren Charles,
which was the king of those smaller shows.
Yeah, smaller shows. He would do like 5-6 shows a year and just rack up money.
Right.
And Kai Greene, that was his first pro show.
That's right. Kai was there.
And, Gary Stridham was at that show. I mean, a lot of guys was at this show. And I'm
Gary
like,
was
Gary
competing?
Stridham made a comeback at that show, dude.
Tells you how focused I was. I didn't even remember that Gary was there.
Here I am getting ready, and we do our first call out. We go backstage, and you're pissed because I'm just happy to be here. Yeah, man. I'm like taking pictures. I'm like, hey, dude. Like,
I'm in the top 3. I'm in the top 5. I'm in the first call out.
Hany comes out. What the fuck?
I'm pissed.
He's so mad. And then that's when the cat got out of the bag because the late Peter McGuff, who was the senior editor of Flex Magazine, he was like definitely a huge inspiration to me. He was a father figure to me. And he was looking after me backstage. But then he realized right away, wait a minute, this is your coach? And you didn't tell me? And he was just like, you better win, do your thing. And we did our thing.
You remember what he said to you?
He
goes, because I came up.
Yeah.
And I started lighting you up.
You lit my ass on fire.
I mean, I'm livid. I'm like, you got to get your head in the game. You were like a deer in headlights. I remember you were just scared shitless.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, look, this is the first, I know it's your first pro show. You are in the fight. He goes, yeah, I'm in the fight. I'm happy. I go, no, you can win this. You don't understand. You can win this. Stop fucking around and go out there like you're actually deserve to win this show. Stop messing around. Okay. You're sitting there wanting to take, get autographs with people and stuff, like take photos on the side of the stage. And then you turn around and you're like, what? And I'm like, and then Peter McGuff walks over and says, listen to everything he just said. And that's what he said to you. Mm-hmm. He goes, whatever he just said to you, you listen to it. And then you're like, okay. So now Peter doesn't have to say anything. He just says what basically confirms everything that I just said. And then I'm like, you got this? And he goes, yeah. You're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it was game on.
It was pretty much game over after that. I mean, if anyone ever watches like my pro debut, you could see like the first couple call outs, and then that last call out, Darren Charles and I were like jockeying for a position like in there, and I was not letting him like in my space. And I posed with everything I had. And again, what people don't realize also is that my pro debut happened to be in the town I was living in Denver, Colorado. And I had everyone from the gym, everyone from the bodybuilding community there. So Hany did what, other coaches did for me. Ron Howard, Mike Bethea, Jason Baskett, saying, it's your time. Like, stop fucking around. Let's go. And the rest was really history. But what's crazy after that first pro show, we win. We have a great time, right? Then we realize, oh shit, you got to do it again. So then I leave for California.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is the craziest part about being a pro back then. You would win a pro show, you would compete at a pro show, whether you won or not. And then as a weeder athlete, you would do photo shoots thereafter.
Right.
And we would go to Milo Sarchev's gym in Fullerton.
Yes, right.
At the old Coliseum.
Yep.
I would stay at a residence inn across the street.
Yep.
And, first place at the Sean Ray Pro-Am was $25,000. Mm-hmm. And I got the $1,000 fan choice award, whatever. Excuse me. And I get there and I look at my bank account and the check bounced.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So $26,000. The $1,000 went through. The 25 from biotech didn't go through.
Right.
And they couldn't verify the funds. So I'm like frantic, like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, and Weeder at the time, they were like, you have a hotel room. Like, we got you on that, but we're not going to, like, we can only do so much.
Right.
I was like, man, like my bank account was negative $3,000. I'm like, what is going on? I'm calling Sean Ray. I'm like, what the fuck? Where's these owners at? Where's your bosses at? They're like, they're in China, bro. Like, they'll be back soon. I'm like, and I'm supposed to do photo shoots. So I was like, you know what?
Stress.
Stress
is through the roof.
Right. Stress is through the roof. And I'm just like, you know what? What's the reality? The reality is that I'm already here.
Right.
I have a place to stay.
Yep.
And a place to train.
Yep.
And I'm contracted to do these pictures with Chris Lund. Just do your job the best you can.
Yep.
These are moments in time that are going to be celebrated later on.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did that. But what was the funniest part was,
remember the food?
That's what I was getting to. So imagine going through all that stress, maintaining your composure, trying to realize that now as a young man that is now getting paid like lump sums of money, then the bank wants to hold that money. They're only giving me like $500 at a time.
Yeah, because your account never had anything close to it.
Right. So the bank's like, nah, man, we're not going to just let this pass. So anyway, that goes through like 2 weeks later, but I had to prepare my meals to go get on a flight from John Wayne Airport to all the way to New York for the New York Pro with Steve Weinberger. I get on that flight and then realize one major thing. I had left all the food that I was preparing back at the hotel. And you weren't going to get there until the next day.
Yep.
So I had no food. I'm like carving up on cream of rice or whatever with nothing really. And then Factory Mubrak, who I just competed against at the USA's, happened to go get me some food, but it wasn't a lot. And I remember you finally got there, and the first thing you said was, man, you look like shit. And I was like, And I'm like,
I get to New York and I'm like, what have you done?
I'm like, not eat, dude. Like, I ain't got no money. I have nothing, man. And, I'm just trying to, like you say, I'm just doing, at the end of the day, I've been poor before, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that, but like I've been dead ass broke as a bodybuilder, man.
Yeah.
And imagine winning your first pro show. You got the covers, you're doing all this cool shit. And you got a coach that you vibe with. Like you're trying to go back-to-back weekends, and you could really do it because half the guys that you just beat are going to be in New York too.
Well, pull up the New York Pro 2006 and IFBB New York Pro, and that was a lot more athletes than the Colorado, because you have some names in there. Don't pull up images. Pull up the list, and I would say. You want the list of the top 10. So let's see if you can pull up the top 10.
That was a.
Let's see.
Ooh.
There you go. First place, Phil Heath. Second place, Darren Charles. Third place, Dennis James. Fourth place, David Henry. Fifth place, Bill Wilmore. Sixth place, King Kamali. Seventh place, George Farah. Eighth place, Rodney St. Cloud. Ninth place,
Yaroslav
Horvath. 10th place, Pavel
Jablanicki, dude.
Yeah, Jablanicki. 11th, Eddie Abu. 12th, Jason Arntz. 13th, Luke Wood. 14th, Silvio Samuel. 15th, John Hodgson. And then
Kai Greene didn't even place.
Wow.
So
the ones that were out of the top 15 was Kai Greene. Let me see here. Alexander Fedorov,
who literally shook the shit out of the whole bodybuilding industry in what was that, 2003?
Yeah.
The dude from Russia. He had a torn pec. And I remember seeing him. He was 272 pounds as an amateur on stage. And
he was a monster.
He got to compete next to Coleman and Jay at the Russian Grand Prix. And he actually
2004. He did second, and a lot of people said he pushed Ronnie that year. Yeah, which he did in terms of size. Obviously he should never beat Ronnie.
No.
He didn't. But I'm just saying is that he looked monsters, and that was just 2 years prior at 2004. So it was a stacked lineup. You got Dennis James, and you had coaches like George Farah, and that's why George doesn't like you, because you beat him on stage and you beat his guy
and all his clients. Whoop that ass. It's like Tom and Jerry, that one meme where he's like slapping that ass, like beating his ass. Yeah, I was whooping all the ass.
You would torture George, man. You would torture George because he would talk a lot of shit, and then he would turn around and say he was going to put you in retirement.
Oh, dude.
I remember that.
I loved it. I loved it.
Remember when he said that to you?
Oh, he said a lot of things. Man. But it was very competitive, and I was able to win that show. That show, the New York Pro, I weighed 208.6 after prejudging.
Yeah, because you didn't eat. You didn't have any food.
So when, fast forward to this year's Olympia.
You know what? I remember what happened. Because Bill was at the show, and Bill placed in the top 5.
Yeah.
Bill, who had just turned pro the year before, he did the show. I went and got food from him to give to you.
Immediately, because you couldn't order. Well, we tried to order room service, and
no, they didn't have it.
But the problem was with room service, that was only for the secret shit, like the burgers and stuff.
Oh yeah, the secret burgers.
The secret burgers.
But the thing that you had to do was I'd literally say, "Hey man, Bill, can I get some food?" And he, Bill's the nicest guy ever. He'd be like, "Absolutely, just whatever you need." And then so It was like, hey man, we need some more chicken. I need some more steak. I need some more rice.
It was just different back then. We were all, anyone that worked in your stable, in your camp, we're all friends, right? And, shout out to Bill Wilmore for even, helping me out with that. Obviously, I didn't let him down by winning that show, but it also developed a lot of resilience.
He's like letting me down. He's like, man, if you would have been 6, I would have moved up one.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But no, in all seriousness, then and there, I'm like, wait a minute, back-to-back weekends, pro debut, then you think
the stress of the money. Imagine finally making it, saying, okay, man, I got this money coming in. Then the money doesn't show up, and then when did the money show up? I remember that you were so pissed.
Bro.
You're like, I'm not going to, I mean,
I
you were
was so
pissed.
well, bro. Like you got to remember,
of course, and you had a right to be,
bro. I did the junior nationals with $43 fucking in my bank account.
Yeah, because at the time you were working at Bally's, right?
And I spent all my money on prep.
Yeah.
All my money on prep. And then I finally get a contract,
right?
You know, and then, so what's funny about that, I get the contract. They give me like a little sign bonus of like, when I say little, it's not little, you know, it's $5,000. I was like, man, that's great.
Yeah.
And my car had just broken down. I was driving a 1990 Acura Integra GS, right?
Right.
And it got trapped in a flood in Denver. And the car was no good. So for 3 weeks, I had no vehicle. I was bumming rides for my roommate and either catching a bus or riding a bicycle to work during prep. And, you know, even with that money, when I got that check, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out, buy a car. I buy a car. It was remember the Lincoln?
Yep.
So I bought this green.
I think it was green.
It was green.
Right.
It was a Lincoln LS8.
Yep.
With the V8. Bought that bitch. Brought it home to our spot, put the Armor All in the tires, had the NPC wear because, you know, I got hooked up because you couldn't even buy that anywhere else. Like you had to like find like a special store to go get it in Denver. There was only one store that you could get NPC wear. So I'm wearing the short shorts, the tank top, and the bandana looking like Sean Ray, whatever, right? You know, like how he used to wear it.
Yeah.
And I'm driving to the gym. Within 3 minutes after I left my place, I get rear-ended. I just had the car for 3 fucking hours.
Oh, wow.
My credit score was like 560 or some shit, you know? So like my mom had to co-sign and she was like, you better freaking pay this. Like I'm not gonna be liable.
Right.
So I freaking, you know, make the payment, but I get rear-ended and I'm like, oh my God. Like it was so bad that I hit the car in front of me. They hit the car, it was really bad.
Right.
I get out of the car, shredded. This is 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get the fuck out of the car. And the guy's like, I ain't doing shit. You know? Like, and I say that because I bring all this up because
this was, I think, 2 weeks out from the
USA's
or USA.
No, this is USA's. This is, I'm talking about how broke I was. $43, no money. Went, you know, get a contract, had a flooded car, buy a new car, get rear ended, have no car, right? Still got to compete. Back goes out the week before the USA's. Get, you know, find this new thing called chiropractic work. You know, get that done. Win my pro card. Fast forward. Pro debut, win the pro debut, get money, lose money because it never goes through.
No, you eventually got paid.
And then after that, after the New York Pro, I got a call from Larry Pep. And he said, have you signed with anyone? Mm-hmm. I said, no. He goes, don't. Just hold off. I was like, man, I'm trying to get paid now. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, that's right.
I got to get paid, bro.
You
like,
just won 2 shows.
I just won 2 shows. The phone's ringing, dude. Like now the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I left my job at Bally Total Fitness, you know, a year prior. So I'm just getting paid as a Weider athlete. And I waited and I got a phone call from Frank Seppi.
That's right.
And Frank Seppi was an athlete
for Metrics.
Metrics. He was an athlete rep for Metrics. And I ended up signing with Metrics. And I got my first contract. I'll just disclose it. I was getting paid $10,000 a month. And, you know, I'm thinking with my Weider deal, that was really good money.
It was huge money.
Huge money.
And you got to remember, and this is what the thing is about back then. There was only a handful of people who got paid because there was no influencers. That was the influence.
It's the only way you're going to get paid by getting a pro card and actually winning and
because
winning
they
shows.
Needed you for the magazine covers. They need you to talk about the brand because there was no YouTube, there was no Instagram, there was none of that shit. And so it was like only thing that they would do is take your title and post it all over their product.
Say pro bodybuilder,
champion.
Champion of this show, champion of this, because that was the only validity. That was the only way of convincing an audience that you knew what the hell you were talking about.
Right.
And I remember the funny part about working with Frankie was he offered me the deal.
Right.
But Muscle Tech called again. Dave Conlon called again. And he was like, hey, Phil. And I was like,
but you didn't go.
Oh, man. I said, who's this?
Yeah, you didn't go.
And he goes, oh, it's like that? And I'm like,
you were very loyal to
I was like, no, I told him, I was like, it's like that. And I was like, remember I told you the price is going to go up?
Right.
And the price went up, signed with Metrics, had a great relationship with them for 4 years, and then went to Team Muscle Tech thereafter. But what's funny about all that is, you know, winning my first 2 pro shows, you told me to sit out the Olympia.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's a very defining moment in your career. And this is another example of your coachability. Everybody who qualified for the Olympia would do the Olympia. Nobody would sit it out, especially back then. And I sat down with you and I said, look, Phil, you're 210 pounds. If you go in and do the Olympia, are you going to look good? Yeah. But are you going to look, you're going to have to stand like next to Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Dexter Jackson, so on and so forth. So my thing was that, do you really want to do that? Or do you want to improve so that when you eventually step on stage, you're a formidable opponent to them? And you know what? You gave no pushback on it.
No.
You were so dialed in that it really made things a lot easier for me, because you're like, sounds like a plan. Okay, we're going to sit it out. What do you want to do next year? And I said, let's just go over that in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. And you were very focused, and you were just really good at taking direction.
Yeah, it was great because I was still fresh, and I knew that too, right? And I was glad that you said it. The problem was that you couldn't negotiate it with my sponsor,
right?
with Weeder. I had to sit in the principal's office, so to speak.
Well, because Joe Weeder,
and had to explain
which was
it to
alive
Joe
at the time.
Yeah, I had to explain it to Joe, to explain it to Peter, to explain it to Robin. And, you know, imagine being paid. And I was just like, I hear what you guys are saying, that I could be top 3 at my first Olympia, but you remind us of like Kevin Lebroni and this and that, like how they came out and they got, you know, top 3 their first time. And I'm like, but my coach, you know, like he feels like, and the good thing is we already had, you know,
a track record
of proof that showed that what we're doing is working. Let's not mess this up.
Right.
So I was very happy that they were willing to accept that, but it made people obviously upset. It was the following year that really made the difference, because then we did the Arnold Classic, and then I got 5th, and then I asked Frank Seppi, because you immediately after we did the show, you said, I need you to ask your sponsor with metrics right now. Can you just
sit it out?
Sit it out one more time.
Back then, his second year, your second year, now we're talking 2007, he went in and did the Arnold. He placed 5th. I looked at him, said, you're not big enough. You're not big enough. Mm-hmm. You're still not big enough.
Yeah.
You need an off season, another off season. And you go, what do you mean? And I said, you need to take a full year and grow if you want to be able to mess around with these bigger guys. And you said, okay. And I said, okay, well, and here's the issue though. This is the second time that you're going to take a pass, because you qualify.
Yeah.
Back then,
the
top five at the Arnold would qualify for the Olympia.
Yep.
And you were going to have to sit it out again. And so now you have to talk to Weeder again, and you have to talk to your nutrition sponsor. So at the time,
yeah, the nutrition sponsor was paying more, so that was priority number 1, right? Because in contracts, you know, they want to make sure that you compete a certain amount of times per year.
Yeah.
And with metrics, I mean, although I was obligated to compete twice within a calendar year, they were cool because they could because at least Frankie could understand what we were trying to do.
Right.
And I was willing to do as many photo shoots as they wanted in supplementing those things. And with metrics, they at that time were in C stores. They were all over. So they made me travel more, which I was like, sure, put me on flights. I don't care. So when he said yes, you were like, oh, it was almost like you were relieved.
100%.
Because the next step was to then fly to California, and you couldn't do these things over the phone back then.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, the correct approach was always to meet a man in the eye and tell him like, this is how I feel. And the bigger picture, explaining, because you allowed me to see what the bigger picture was. And I was able to convey that message to Weeder. And then they were like, all right. You know, I remember even Robin was like, all right. Okay. And I remember the internet on their homepage said, Phil Heath sits out again. Mm-hmm. And the people on every chat room was just, I mean, they were letting me have it. I mean, it was really bad. And so much that when we went to the Olympia, Dexter, Melvin, were talking shit to me while I'm sitting in the audience with you during the press conference.
Yep.
And I'm like, bro, I'm actually here to watch a show, bro. I'm like, this is how these guys be acting? And you're like, yeah, man, you just got to ignore it, whatever.
No, I said use it as fuel.
Yeah.
Because Dexter especially, man. Dexter loved, and he still does. He stirs the pot. Dexter Jackson, I
don't blame him though.
Yeah, but Dexter and I go way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go way back. And all the way to the curly top. We'll bring Dexter on here, and he can tell the story with curly top, because he motivated me into doing a lot of things to help elevate me, because he talked a lot of shit to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, I always say that
I can tell the story, but
Well, I'm going to wait for Dexter. We got to get Dexter on.
Yeah, you got to wait till he,
because that's a Dexter, because that was a defining moment for me.
Yeah.
Because he really, really got me turned up on, we were in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I think it was around 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
Around that time.
Probably around that time.
Yeah. Because you were getting a lot of attention.
I was still in a lot of attention. That was probably the reason why these guys weren't happy, because
Yes.
I was
100%.
Look, I got to cover the night I won my pro card. Yes. Meaning, what does that mean? That means I took the pictures a month prior.
Right.
And they rushed it.
Right.
And I was like the new golden boy.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was making all this money. And what's wild is,
Yeah, they were like, F that guy with the green eyes.
Exactly.
Right.
And they were real green eyes, They weren't like the contest that Sean Ray had and shit. You know what I mean? So what was cool was that during those 2 off seasons, obviously I'm training, we're doing our thing. I supplemented the income that I was so-called missing out on at the Olympia by getting more guest posing and building a fan base that way. Because unlike today, where like you talk about social media with YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff, you had to get on the road, kind of like a comedian. You want to get better as a comedian, you get in the car. Like comedians do it still.
Yep.
You get in the car, you drive.
Right.
You just drive, you stop. You drive, you stop. And you just keep, getting gigs. And it didn't matter if it was,
the more you guest pose, the more gigs you'd get.
Yeah. So I would just do gig after gig after gig. I would cold call promoters out of the NPC magazine that would come out every other month. And I would go on the back page and I would just call these guys and tell them my rates and try to grandfather these people in, to like, hey, if I'm charging $2,500, I'll keep you there if you just hire me for the next year.
Right.
I collectively, between those 2 years, made more money on average than the person that was placing 6th and 7th at the Olympia. Just by getting in the car, getting on the plane,
and doing guest
appearances and meeting, physically meeting people. And I love that shit. So by the time 08 comes, oh man, it was a different Phil Heath, man. I mean, we went into the Ironman.
Yep.
And that was
So what we did, for a little bit of backstory, was you said, okay, what are we doing next? And I said, we're going to do the Ironman. And that was always in February.
Yep.
And so we did the Arnold. You placed 5th. We sat out the whole entire year.
Yep.
We were both super hungry, because everybody's like, well, now you're sitting out. So everyone's pouring fuel on the fire for both you and myself. And so what we did was we started spending more time together too.
Yeah.
And that's when I started focusing more and more on your training and saying, okay, we need to grow your back.
Right.
We need to grow your chest. We need to grow your shoulders.
Yep.
We need to grow your quads. All of these areas. And that's when you had, I think, one of your biggest jumps.
Oh yeah, easily. If you look at 2007, Arnold Classic, I was like 216. You pull up 2008 Arnold Classic, I weighed 232 on stage. And the coolest thing about it was that filming in Flex Magazine, I had a cover in both years, and you could see the difference, not just in the cover shots, but also on stage. And it was a collective effort. You would devise up the plan, we'd meet up, we'd train.
Yep.
And I was seeing the growth. I think we did the Arnold Classic in 2007. By that November at Nationals, I was like at my largest off season. I was like 268. And I remember you sending pictures to Jay, and he was like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, what's going on?" And we did the Ironman, and that was one hell of an event.
The 2008 Ironman. Pull up there's a great cover that Per Bernal took for Muscular Development, and it's the black and white that he put together of you doing a most muscular 2008 Ironman. Phil Heath 2008 Ironman Pro. Go ahead and put that up. Right, that black and white one in the middle. There you go.
Yeah, that was sick, dude.
Yeah. So that's when that breakout year.
Yeah.
And then so you won that show. Mm-hmm. And here's a funny story about how your first show, you were kind of like deer in headlights, and you were like all geeked out that you were in the first call out, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm happy go lucky. You know, I'm just happy to be here. And then I had to go there and kind of wake you up to like, no, you got to go in there and try to win. Mm-hmm. And then you fast forward to this Ironman. People were literally in the show competing against you, and on the side of the call outs were asking to do photos, and their wives were coming over the side so they can take photos with you.
Yep.
And I had to come over and be like, stop that shit. Like, I'm like,
bro, I signed a fucking magazine on the side of the stage.
It was
crazy.
It was just, man. I'm like, dude, no, this show is going on.
But the people are laughing.
I know, but it was horrible.
It was bad.
It was
dude.
bad.
It was great though.
It was a great feeling because I'm sure, you know, because you came out and then everybody was like laughing, right? They were like, holy shit.
Well, because there's some shit talking going on. You know,
there was a lot of shit talking going on.
Gustavo Badell talked a lot of shit.
That's right.
Silvio Samuel was saying what he had to say. Mila Masawi was saying what he had to say because the growing theme was Phil doesn't have a back. He doesn't have this. And he just has arms and, you know, and I was that golden boy like person, right? He's the gift. He gets everything. It's like, okay.
You were handed everything. That's what they all said.
And then we showed him.
Yep.
And I was peeled again. But like,
do you remember backstage when you were pumping up? I was back there with you.
So Hany. So here's the funny thing about Hany. He was talking about again, like how I was very insecure and very scared. And you know, every time when you go on stage,
there's a video. We got to find the video.
Yeah, we got to find the video.
I think Ron
Abadan that runs getbig.com. So he was there with Hany. I'm pumping up, and Hany's like
serious. I was super serious.
He was super serious. Right? So he brings over Ron, and Ron's that guy that gets all the celebrity trash and bash picture. You know, like he just puts stuff up there, and you know he's always done me a good service. But some of his followers, they would just let me have it, right? So like, I was like, okay, he's with Hany. What's going on? Hany's got this discerned face on himself, and I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, all right, I know I look good, but like,
so he's pumping up. Everyone's pumping up, and they're waiting. They said, hey, 10 minutes, 15 minutes you have till you get on stage. And so he's pumping up. He's getting all serious and everything else. And I brought Ron Abadan over, and then what?
And then Hany's like, hey, pump up real quick some more, and then peel down real quick. And I was like, all right. He goes, all right, squeeze, do this. And I was like, we're good? And he was like, yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're all right. Yeah, I think we're good. And then I'm like, what the fuck? And then he was like, "No, man, I think we're good, bro. We got this."
No. That's not how it went down.
That's how
I said. What I said this. I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, for a split second, your face is right.
Yeah, you got me for a second. Then you're like, yeah,
man, no, dude, you're gonna crush this shit.
Yeah,
go in there, fuck them up.
Yeah, it was like. Now I think about it, that was 15 years ago. So yeah, all I remember is like, what? What did he say?
Yeah.
Oh man,
and he was like, and Ron Abadan's glasses, you know, he's got really
up, like they fogged up because he's like laughing his ass off, like he's trying to hold it in. And yeah, man, we definitely destroyed some people, you know, that night. Yeah, but what was really funny is after the show, and this is how it works. When you win a show, you're excited, you want to go eat. Everybody that's won a show, especially amateurs, you know, you get like this freaking scroll of all the restaurants you want to eat from. As a pro that is actually trying to be Mr. Olympia, you don't really get to do that. And Hany Rambod and I were driving back to the hotel, and he's like, yeah, man, you get to have a burger, like 2 burgers. You get to go to, and I was like, man, I want to go to In-N-Out because in Colorado, we didn't have In-N-Out.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can have In-N-Out, Phil, but like I'm telling you right now, you can't have like salt in your burger. You can't have fries. You can't have this shit, man. We got to compete in 2 weeks. And I was like, man, fuck you, man. I went through all this shit. And Hany's like, dude, I get it, man, but like you got to just listen. And I did not. I was like, fuck, because when we talk about like suffering in diet, like I did everything you asked.
Yeah.
We're talking about the double cardios. We're talking about the twice a week leg sessions. We're talking about living at altitude, like really training your ass off and pushing yourself beyond limit without you cracking a whip on me. I trained by myself and had to really produce, right? And then I had the pressure of the sponsors, you know, the public. I mean, it was getting very, very heavy. So you want to reward yourself. You have this in your, in your brain where there's a piece of your brain that wants that reward.
Yeah.
And you feel like I won. I can turn this up. And you're like, nah, dude, we have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
So I was able to eat the burgers and, like whatever. I did exactly what you said.
Yeah. I don't think it was that crazy. I just said, hey, you got to eat this, but you can't. I said, don't salt the fries because you already had a bunch of ketchup and whatever.
It was just more psychological for
exactly.
me. It was more psychological and emotional
right.
because when you suffer,
yes,
not fake suffer, like people, we've heard bodybuilders say, oh, I suffer. I'm like,
there's
dude,
a lot of fake suffering.
I'm like, bro, like you've had cheat meals every fucking week.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, like I had one cheat meal in an entire fucking prep, dude.
Right.
Like there's differences with what we go through. And it was because I wasn't going to beat guys being the biggest dude.
Right.
I was going to beat guys based on the conditioning.
Right.
And the roundness that I was kind of born with, the structure, but I had to earn that. So,
well, also because you didn't rely on a lot of other pharmaceuticals. You didn't rely on thyroid. You didn't rely on insulin. Believe it or not, everyone thinks that your stomach. And we'll talk again. There's so much stuff to talk about. But
that'll be part two.
That's part two.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is the fact that everyone thinks that because of your bubbliness, it had to be that. It had to be that. It had to be insulin. And that's why your stomach was the way. No, your stomach was the way it was because of the fact that you had the hernias that ended up getting really bad.
Right.
And that's what ended up happening. But it was just not even worth arguing with everybody because everybody already had it in their head.
Yeah, you can't change someone's
and that's
truth is based on perspective. If they really have this perspective based on what someone else wrote online, and it came from like who they find is credible,
right?
You can't fight it. And I tried to argue, it doesn't work.
No,
you realize you're arguing with a bunch of moronic individuals that essentially are developing propaganda, and we dealt with that. So going into the Arnold Classic in 2008, I was able to get second with Dexter Jackson, and we put his
and he even said after he saw you, he dropped the hammer.
Yeah,
because he's like, holy shit, I'm going to have to go up against Phil, and I didn't think Phil was going to be anything.
Like that jump was like quick.
Yes, and because of that, he stepped it up and actually started doing cardio or something.
Yeah, it was no more of those. Yeah.
It was no more of that. I don't do cardio. I eat burgers and I get striated glutes. Now all of a sudden, he had to really pull it together, and he did. It was a close show. Again, I think he could have went either way, but he came out ahead. He got first.
I definitely didn't have the maturity in 2008, but I wasn't missing anything either.
No,
I just didn't have the maturity yet. And that was a really good test because I standing up on stage for me, especially being next to a legend, right? A person who's already at that time, he had already placed top 3 at the Olympia. In 2008, when they called his name first and seeing him, fall to his knees and all this other shit, right before that, I always try to take a glance at that person who I'm going against. And he was a little worried because I think Branch or Kai got third that year in 08. And I remember when it was just he and I, he went like this. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker. Like,
I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm coming. I may not win tonight, but like, I'm here now, bro. Like,
right.
And he may or may not agree or whatever, but I remember what I saw. And I know that even though I lost that, I was like, at least I solidified myself as second at the Arnold. And then we were able to roll that. And that gave me a lot of fuel, man. Like,
right.
We
knew.
We rolled that thing right into the 08 Olympia.
Right.
And yeah, dude, like that was freaking dope because, I was able to get third at my very first Olympia.
Right. So let's talk about that 08 Olympia because the 08 Olympia sets the tone for the next several years.
Yep.
So what happened was you took first at the Ironman. 2 weeks later, you take second to Dexter in the Arnold. Then now we're ready to do the Olympia now because now you're messing with the big boys. You're taking a lot of them down from the Ironman. And now we're going to take momentum going into 2008, first Olympia.
Right.
You have Dexter Jackson, Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler had just won 2 Olympias.
Yep.
But he didn't have a great showing in 07.
Right.
Against
Victor.
Yep. A lot of people thought Victor could have won that show and should have won that show.
Right.
Now, in 2008, he came in better than he did 07, Jay, but not good enough to win.
Right.
So therefore, Dexter beats Jay.
Yep.
For the first and only time at the Olympia.
Yes.
And now you're in the hunt now. because you have this roundness, you have this 3D look, and you have all the body parts. So now I'm watching and going, dude, you could be in the top 2. And I'm looking at it. I'm watching it. I'm in the 5th row like I have been in for the last 20 years.
Right.
My seats are right in front of the judges. And I'm sitting here looking at the whole thing, and I'm looking. Those are not it. Those are from 2010 or 11. But the 2008.
That's 2008 right
That's
there.
2008. And
yeah.
And then
I'm letting him have it right there. I'm like, you are not getting in here, man. But
that look on your face.
I was like, fuck.
Good old muscle time. We're looking at good old muscle time.
Yeah.
Photos from Raymond Caesar.
Yeah.
And so, or Caesar Raymond. But yeah, so when you look at that, the top 3, Jay takes 2nd, Phil takes 3rd in his first Mr. Olympia in a very stacked lineup.
Oh yeah. Oh, get that picture right there. Lower right. The one where like right down, left, right there. Dude, that picture.
Yeah, that one right there. Oh. He's got the crazy eyes. And that's the one where I started looking and I go, man, you could make an argument that you could have possibly won that show.
Yeah.
And even Jim Mannion says to me, oof, he's like, your boy is dangerous. He's very, very dangerous because he could have won that show.
Yeah.
But they were looking at you because you had peaked on the second night.
Yeah.
And we did that on purpose. But we also, the reason why everybody saw so much like excitement was because this 3D look started happening.
Right.
Right. It happened earlier in the year at the Ironman, at the Arnold, but now you saw it at the peak at the Olympia for the first time on the Olympia stage.
Right.
And this is such a big stage. The lighting, everything makes such a big difference. And when you look at, again, pictures like that on your first Olympia, it was very, very exciting. But then also our friend and someone who's super close to you, and you got to remember, like me and Jay didn't get really, really close until the following year.
Right.
But I've known Jay since 2000 when I met Jay in 99, 2000.
Right.
And it was one of those things where he had lost and we were all felt for him.
Yeah, dude.
Because not only did he, go up against Ronnie for all those years and taking those second places.
Yep.
But he only was able to win 2.
Yeah.
And then he got off, and then the second year, he got a lot of flack because of the Victor Martinez situation.
Yep.
And so we were just like, kind of like, whoa.
And Dexter looked great, and he did deserve to win.
Yeah.
For me, I was thinking about this the other day about how people are. Maybe competitive bodybuilders at the highest level deal with this, especially open because we've had a longer history. A lot of people turned their back on Jay after that show.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, man. And I give Jay Cutler a lot of credit for how he handled himself for that, because to lose the show, I mean, in 2008, it was not, obviously it wasn't fun. I mean, he's losing a show in this town of Las Vegas and, being his friend, I'm like, all right, well, I'm happy that I'm third and I'm standing next to these guys, but at the same time, I'm on stage watching history be made with a new Mr. Olympia. And to watch like how everybody, and I get it, man. Like people are happy for Dexter, and I was happy for him too. It sucks seeing someone lose that and to also see like who starts rallying toward the new champion. So there were some Jay Cutler fans that were competitors that now became uber Dexter fans.
Right.
And it was only because of the fact that they felt that, oh, the big guy fell. Now, if Dexter won, that means I could win too.
That's right.
That's why they became friends with Dexter. And I was like, I was watching it in plain sight. I watched some judges do this shit. I watched a lot of promoters not speak so highly of Jay. And I was like, this is the guy that like embodied excellence.
Do you think that was a lot of it just because they just find an opportunity when kick somebody when they're down?
I think so, dude. I think this sport thrives on that.
On negativity.
Negativity sometimes. So I was able to watch it. You got to keep in mind, I was able to watch it with Ronnie.
Right.
How people turn their back on him. And then I started seeing a little bit, not a lot, but with Jay, like, you know, and to see Jay Cutler win his first Olympia, win the second one, we're partying, we're doing all this other shit, to now having this party still go on, but we're in the kitchen, dude, of this nightclub.
Yeah,
at
so
Privé,
right
inside a kitchen with me, him, Dorian Yates, Gunter Schlierkamp, you know, a bunch of other people. We're just all hanging out, and I was like, man, it's really.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. It was all about like.
So right after the Olympia, guys, we would always go to an after party, especially when it was in Vegas, and it was always, you know, at one of these clubs in Vegas, and so Jay had his own, and just like you ended up having your own.
Yeah.
But what happened was in 2008, we went to Jay's, and it was in this kitchen area.
Yeah, the club, like
There's
the
a club
was going on. It's called Privé. It was inside the Planet Hollywood.
Right.
And we're all trying to find out where Jay is, and they're like, "No, it's
He's
in the kitchen."
Back.
We're like, "What?"
Kitchen. And we're like, in the kitchen. What is he doing in the kitchen? And they put couches and chairs in this area next to where they cook food. And everybody was sitting on the couches, and there was girls and guys and everybody else, and Phil went and just kind of like sat down, and it was a big sigh. I remember, and it was like, you don't know what to say, because you got like Jay just lost.
Right.
And so it was, what was that conversation like with him?
You know, you're trying to just be present with them, right? And not talk about the show. You're also trying not to talk about like yourself, me, like placing third. Like, oh, I'm so excited, man. Oh shit, you just lost. You know, it's more like, I'm just happy we're here hanging out. And luckily, he had one of his good old friends, Flinny, bring in a stripper pole to try to change the mood.
Yeah.
And bring a bunch of girls in, just because he was like, if Flinny could just be a jackass, you know, just be kind of like this guy that we can make fun of, just kind of try to get his mind off of it. He did that. And that conversation, I don't remember all the conversation. I just remember that, of course, he wasn't happy, but he was trying to be gracious for the opportunity. And I think it obviously sucked for him. But then weeks later, he and I were seen together. Like, you know, we were doing, I think, photo shoots in LA, and we hung out. We went to Katsuya's, and we went to go eat, and he was dropping me off at my hotel. And he was like, yeah, man, I had a great career. He was basically calling it quits. You know, he's like, yeah, I think I should be done. You know, I've made tons of money. Like, I'm good. You know, and he'd always play around with that whole, like, when I would turn 34 years old, I can retire. I'll be fine. You know, I'll do other things. And I just looked at him, I was like, you're totally bullshitting me right now. Like, I know you have more in you. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, bro, it's your time. You should have won. You know, they would have never allowed a first timer winning, but like, you know, like,
yeah, you could have won.
You could have won this, bro.
He
was like, you really could have won this, bro. And I was like, man, it's supposed to be you and I 1 and 2, bro. Like, he was like, nah, man. And I was like, I think you should just work with Hany, man. I was like, I just think that you need to change shit up.
You said that to him then?
Pretty much. I was like, I think you should just consider it, like changing things around or whatever, man.
I didn't know
like,
you guys spoke it then. I thought that came like after the show.
I know I said something about like how I've had success so fast and like changing things up in some way to figure out the answer, because having 07 happen, going from a 1-day to a 2-day show format, something's not working. And why not just try to look at another option? And I just want them to keep competing. I didn't want them to stop competing. And I'll be honest, man, like, you know, I won't name names because that's not right. But like, there was people that, you know, they turned their back on them, man. Like and they saw my rise.
Right.
So they're like, I could see them trying to
like competitors. You're talking about
competitors, some just, you know, officials, like certain people, not judges, but like promoters and stuff. Like, it's not that they were talking shit. They were just glomming on to me, leaving him.
Right.
And I saw that change, and I was like, I don't like this, because this dude is still dangerous. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Right.
He's one of the greatest ambassadors of our sport still today.
Right.
So then fast forward, obviously, you know, you guys worked together. We connected.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So this is where the craziness starts. What happened was Jay lost. I saw him devastated backstage, right? And that's when I decided that you were like, hey, let's go to Jay's after party. I'm like, okay, let's go. Again, Jay and I have known each other for friends, but I was always in the Ronnie camp.
Right.
Right. So I'm always going to pick Ronnie over Jay 10 out of 10 times because of the fact that I was in Ronnie's camp. act as his agent. I trained his girlfriend. I would stay at his house here in Arlington. I mean, for years, Ronnie's my boy.
Yep.
Right. And so, and he would always tease me. In 01, he'd send me some pictures and be like, look, this is when I beat your boy and right. And we would always kind of go back and forth. Right. And so never in a million years did I ever think I was going to coach Jay, just because of there's history about me being in the other aisle. So that year also was the year that I started coming out to Denver.
Yep.
Okay, in 08. And that's, I think, what helped. And when everybody asks me about FST-7 and they ask me about kind of how it started, it really started then. So to give you guys all this context, what I saw when I was coaching was that, especially with Phil, I'm like, dude, don't you want to like train with somebody? And you're like, no. And I'm like, why? And you're like, because their schedules don't jive up. Once in a while, if I need a spot, I'll grab Dylan. Dylan owns the gym, owns Armbrust Gym. Super good dude. Dylan Armbrust, shout out to him and the whole crew over there in Denver. And you're like, no, I'll just get him when I need him. I'll grab him or I'll grab a buddy and they'll spot me. But I can't always jive because my schedule always changes and I don't know when I'm going to train. I don't want to have to like marry up my schedule with somebody else's. And so when I went out there and I would stay with you and I would be there for 4 or 5 days, what would happen was I was always just kind of so pragmatic about like, what can we do to make things better, right? One thing that I realized that I need to share is that you are no Ronnie Coleman as you were coming through, right? And that was the thing where everybody tried to be the next Ronnie Coleman. They wanted to lift Ronnie Coleman, yeah, buddy, weight.
Yeah, man.
And as we were trying to, and I was trying to explain to you, a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle, but I knew you had smaller joints. You come from a basketball background, not a football background. He was a linebacker. He's built different. He had natural strength. And so when we kind of got you stronger, then I knew that you were more apt to get hurt. You'd have little muscle strains, nothing major, no tears, knock on wood, none of that stuff. But I'm just like, wow. So when everybody asks me where FST-7 came, it came because I needed to try to create a system that was going to help create more intensity without me being there. So it was high intensity for the first 4 or 5 exercises. And then the last exercise would be almost, like a German volume type exercise where you get volume in. And then, so we're mixing the two. So I remember when I came into that gym and one day you were wearing flip-flops to the gym. Yeah. And I just tore your ass off because we were going to train hamstrings. And I'm like, man, we need to work on those hamstrings and glutes. And you're like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, why are you wearing those things? And then I gave you so much shit. I think we were getting ready for 08 Olympia. And I was like, you want to be Mr. Olympia? You cannot wear flip-flops in the gym.
I'm like, fucking Arnold did. What are you talking about?
And you fast forward now, C1 more is nothing. But at the time, it was like, no, it was like, but all that. So when I was sitting there doing all of those things, and I was just like trying to create different methodologies of just trying to come up with that 3D look,
right?
And creating that, I was always about just what other things we can do. But I never for a million years thought you would want to share that with anybody. Right. Like meaning like Jay Cutler.
Right.
So that's why when he hit me up and we were talking and I was just like, hey man, are you good? Because you just lost and everything else. And then I know that you ended up having a conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, Phil's okay with it? He's like, well, me and Phil are friends. And I go, yeah, I know that, but
Yeah, it's like fucking money and a title on the line. And
right.
It's like, why would I be willing to do that?
And that was huge. And that's very admirable of you that you had so much just like love for him,
right.
That you were like, man, I don't want to see him go away. I don't want to see him stop. Where so many people in this industry would just literally just be like, man, all right, well, fuck, dude, you're done.
Yeah, they'd be like, man, yeah, let me walk you out of here.
Exactly. With a walker.
Let me get you out of here, man. I'll send you a parting gift, Yeah, you're right, man. Like, you're not that good anymore.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, you should focus on your family.
Right.
Buy a couple more dogs. Go out to pasture, man. Like, go ride a tractor for the rest of
your
your life.
And you legitimately were like, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me call Phil and confirm this. It's not Jay.
You're like, hey, man, like, is this a joke?
No.
Yeah.
I was being serious. I'm like, man, are you cool? And you're like, yeah, man, if you want, if you're cool with it, I think it's a good idea. I think he could really use your help.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, so next year, I'm going to work with you, and then I'm going to work with him. And you're like, well, check it out. Try it out. See how it goes. And then I was like, all right, we'll check it out. And then Jay and I started talking.
Yeah.
And it wasn't confirmed that we were going to do the prep together.
Right.
We were only going to do the off season in 09
Right.
and see how it goes to see if we would jive or not.
Right.
Because Jay had only worked with Chris Aceto at that point.
Correct.
And so he flew out, and I remember it was my week of my birthday, and I had a surgery scheduled for my torn ACL that I'd torn many years prior that stopped me from competing.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, what are you doing the week of your birthday with that January 4th that week? And I go, I'm getting surgery. And he's like, oh, because I was planning on trying to come out and see you. I go, come to San Jose? He goes, yeah, man, just want to train. I want to try some of those workouts. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, all right. I ended up canceling my surgery. I ended up doing it 3 years later. I canceled my surgery. He came out, and he almost threw up doing arms. And I was trying to show him, like, the
Right.
principles, FST-7 stuff. But it was always one of those things that people would always ask me. They're like, Phil was cool with that? I said, not only was he cool with it, he's the one that recommended it.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one that told Jay, like, hey, man, you should maybe talk to Hany.
Well, yeah, because, of course, when you're friends with somebody, it wasn't about competition. It was about being there for an individual who you call your friend. And I thought also, wouldn't it be cool to see just how good he could be, which is only going to push me anyway, because I didn't like how he was looking on stage in that moment, right? And, those were the years like, I would binge watch his DVDs.
Right.
That was a year like, he's pulling off the side of the road, throwing up, and, like he's going through all kind of hell just trying to retain this title. And I was like, nah, man, like, I don't think there's got to be a better way. And, yeah, I guess something I can't put my finger on other than just like, if you got love for somebody, you want to see them succeed. And at the same time, I believe that I couldn't foresee like us being 1 and 2 the way we did. But I'm glad that it worked out that way. But the funny part is that 2009, he fucking looked incredible. And I happened to get sick. So it was great timing because Jay was in the position to reclaim his title in a dominant fashion. I mean, it was one of the greatest. It you helped resurrect his career. I remember seeing him like right before, because I was sick. I got sick Thursday night after the meet and greet. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, it looked like his head shrunk. He was just so wide and just dialed. And I was like, holy shit, you're going to fucking win. And that whole time I just kept thinking, I just want to be top 3 again. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be top 3. Like, I was sick. It's, but and I remember telling you, I was like, because you were concerned, I was like, go be with Jay, get him his freaking title back. Because now it's like a team effort.
Yeah.
I felt. And to be on that stage and to watch him reclaim, but for me to get 5th, I was pretty pissed, obviously. I was not happy about my placing. But, with all things going on, I wasn't at my best. I mean, it is what it is, but I was so extremely excited for Jay. And then that following day, we were able to do that photo shoot with Joe Weider, the last photo shoot where all of the champions, regardless of affiliation with exclusivity, whether you're a Weider athlete, muscular development, Ironman, muscle man, whatever it is, Joe had the best of the best at Gold's Flamingo, training all day. And that's when Jay took that iconic picture of him tearing the magazine cover of the year prior of Dexter and I.
Yeah.
Because Dexter and I had a cover.
Right. It was half Dexter.
It was half Dexter, half myself, talking about who, and then they put Jay at the bottom. And what's funny? I remember being asked by...
It's the top right one over there. Top right. The one right next to it.
Yeah.
Right next to it?
Yeah.
On the left, right there.
Yeah, right there.
That's the one.
So that was
back.
it. So that cover, all right, you see where he's tearing. I remember...
Look at that. Look at that, man.
It was just incredible, dude. But what's funny? The year prior, if you go up to the top left, next to Ronnie, one over to the right, that one.
That one right there.
Yeah. I was pissed because they put Jay at the bottom of that cover and they showed it to me. And I was like, man, y'all about to really piss this man off. And they're like, yeah, but like, it should just be you and Dexter. And I said, why can't it just be like a 3-headed monster type of thing? I'm like all 3 of us on the cover, like all of us share it.
Right.
that's what I'm talking about, like how people kind of slowly forgot about him.
No, they told me, actually it wasn't me. They didn't tell me. I remember reading it. It was all over Muscle Time and everything else that he won't be in the top 5.
Yeah.
In 09.
Yeah.
Because they said that he dropped off so much in 08 that he was, he's going to get beat by this guy, you, Dexter, everybody. I mean, they're like all of that. And so it was very difficult for me to hear that too. But then on top of that, now I have a horse in the race with me now helping him, trying to get him ready. And then, like you said, as we get closer, and then we finally, like I remember it was at the USA. I was there for the USA in 2009, and I was in Vegas. And then he comes over to visit me at the event hotel, right, at the Embassy Suites. And he goes, "Man, I've been thinking about it. I really want you to get me ready. Because at first I was like, okay, you can do yourself, do your own prep now. I got you to this point. We had a really good off season,
right? And
went over a lot of training stuff and nutrition, tons of different things. But it was one of those things. At that point, I was like, okay, great. You're going to do your own prep. I can focus on Phil, and we'll go. But he then just said, no, I want to come see you. So he comes to the hotel, and we talk. And he's like, look, man, I've been thinking about it. It's just. There's no reason for me to switch now. I have faith in you and your ability. So let's do this. And I was like, you sure? And he's like, 100%. And I was like, okay, all right. And then I told you, I said, look, I'm going to work with Jay too. Is that cool? And you were like, absolutely. It's just like it was cool the whole rest of the year. Let's just keep going. You bring me in my best. You bring him in his best. And then we
figure it out.
We let the judges sort out the rest.
Well, he came in much better. You
got sick the night before and your food wasn't digesting. And there was a bunch of different things going on with that whole weekend. Even the build up for that week. And it was very, very, it was almost like you had either a stomach bug or you had something.
I definitely probably caught something in Denver because getting ready for the peak week.
Yeah.
Although you're depleting water, you're eating a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be losing weight like 5 pounds at a time, each day. And that's when I realized like something's not right. And like you said, the food wasn't sticking, as the term that we call it.
Yeah.
Where the body is just not volumizing as you're increasing carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And we already have proof of concept with how my body would look anyway with the food and stuff. And it just got progressively worse. And before you know it, I'm like projectile vomiting. I'm just like, it's really bad.
Yeah. And then when you cleared your system, then it was like, okay, let's give you just because the clean food wasn't going to work.
It was literally
I just took you to McDonald's.
Yeah, it was literally
I just took you to McDonald's. I'm like, McDonald's, just do it. And then you're backstage, and then
I'm trying to fuck with everybody, bro. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the old school Kevin Lebroni trick, and that is just act like you're the champion.
Yeah.
I come in there, got to think, guys, top 3 last year. Y'all don't know what's going on. I'm wearing a Weeder tracksuit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is great. And they're all dying like, how is he fucking eating?
Yeah. And you're eating French fries.
Oh, I'm grubbing, bro. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to, I didn't have no damn nuggets, bro. Like, I didn't go there, man. I wish I did. I wish I'd had a McFlurry or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I would have had all that. But Jay's sitting there like, he already knows what's going on because you had told him, like, Phil's sick. He's not well,
Yeah, I told him.
You do your thing. And I had already told him too. But I was like, yeah, man, I'm just kayfabing this shit, man. And you know what's funny? It worked.
Yeah.
Because I came out there and, of course, people didn't know, that the judges didn't know, the writers, they just like, oh, well, like he's slightly off, a little bit.
Off, yeah.
He'll figure it out, like slightly off. And I'm just like, you guys have no fucking clue, dude. Like, it was all about every pose I did during that time was like, they're thinking I'm like posing for the camera. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm about to throw up again or not. Like, I'm just dying, man.
Yeah.
So, that Friday came around, and then Saturday it was more like, hey, just work on Jay, make sure he's good. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll have some.
You lost to Kai that night. You lost to Kai by 1 point.
1 point, bro. I could have had 4th.
I know, by 1 point.
But that was a great moment though, because I learned something great, which was a champion can rise again.
Yeah.
And you can always try something different to get it done. And, being able to see him win after people, they trashed his ass. Like, totally disrespected him. Straight up Rodney Dangerfield. Like, I get no respect, right? Like, and it was just effed up. And now, and you know what's funny? They all came back. kissing his ass, blowing his balls. Like a few of them did, bro. And I watched it, and I'm just like, and you know what's funny? Jay is so smart. He knew that shit too. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, you can only ask him how he really felt about it, and he probably won't tell you. But you know, deep down, he was like, "I'm never gonna trust you assholes again.
Yeah.
Like I can't even let you in my circle."
Right.
And it only made a circle tighter at that point, and it made us as a team stronger.
Yeah.
And going into that next year, we decided to say, okay, let's ride this in to the Arnold Classic 2010. And what's wild about that shit is that I was already up for renegotiation with Medtrex at the time. So imagine getting top 3 your first Olympia, now drop down to 5th. And I was like, let's see how this works. You know, at that time, you know, I was up for my second renegotiation because I went from 06 to 08 and then 08 to 10. And remember in 08, I got offered a deal at BSN.
Yeah.
And it was real money.
Yeah.
Like it was strong.
But is it in 2010 is when you signed with Muscle Tech?
Yeah, because I didn't
right.
I didn't re-sign with Medtrex.
Right.
So I did a 2-year from 2006 to
right.
2008. And the difference between myself and every other competitor is that they always signed contracts after the Olympia. I signed contracts before the Olympia prep started.
Right.
Because then you have to put your chips in. You know, we both knew that. Yeah. So we always had leverage.
Right.
And that was part of our game plan. Like, hey, you got leverage, bro. Like, if they want to invest in you, like, yeah, because now they can do the real campaign. If they don't want to invest in you, you know, because it's easier. You give the ball in their court.
Especially back then, you had to, because it was a whole different mentality, because you had to sit down and say, okay, look, I've worked this last year. Now I'm getting ready to do it. Are you willing to be a part of my success? Or do you want to wait till, you know?
And they always were just waiting for someone to rise or fall and cut them after the Olympia. Yeah. You saw it every fucking year.
Yeah.
So, you know, when Medtrex, you know, I kind of pressed them early because I was like, listen, like my contract's coming up. I want to go into the Arnold Classic with a for sure number in mind, and we can already let's just get it done early.
Yeah.
Let's not screw around. And they gave me like a 5% increase.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was like less than 30 grand increase. I was like, you guys are crazy.
It was something small.
It was something small. So then I remember having that piss me off even more.
Yeah.
And realizing that this is how the industry in itself works. It's all about performance.
Yep.
So we went into that Arnold Classic, came in, and placed second. And what's wild about that is it is still, in my opinion, one of the hardest shows I think you and I both had to deal with.
Yes.
Yes. That wasn't, I'd probably say, obviously, you know, 2018 Olympia was very hard to digest, but this one I think hurt maybe even more because I had an opportunity to win the Arnold Classic.
Right.
Like a real shot. Like I was up by 3 after prejudging in a 1-day show and lost by 7 at night. 6-hour difference.
Right.
Which technically makes no effing sense, dude.
Right. It was a tough one. But look.
But it taught us.
It taught us a lot of things, but the thing that it did, it was made you hungry.
Oh my God.
It was your version of the cost of redemption.
Yeah.
Right. So what, and I'm referring to Ronnie when he came back in 2003 with Vengeance. And so I think that what you had to go through was that so that it would set you up for the next 7 Olympias.
Yeah.
And so when you went in to the Olympia of 2010, then it was you and Jay in the top 2. And when you guys were in the top 2, what was funny was that they had called whoever was 3rd place, and then you guys were up there, and I started walking. And everyone's like, where are you going? I was like, I'm done. These guys, I don't need you. Like, it's it. That's all I wanted. That was my goal, is to get my guys in the top 2, let the judges sort out the rest.
Right.
And that was it. And, you know, and then obviously Jay won his 4th, and you hugged him and you congratulated him, and then I went backstage with you guys. And I was like, wow, this is an exciting moment for me to be able to have the number 1 and number 2 bodybuilders in the world up there. And not only you guys were, you know, it's not just winning or placing second at that point. It was also all the people you beat.
Yeah.
Because that's what also kind of solidifies who you are and what you've done. And I think that when you look at that and you go, okay, great, this is amazing. So now Jason, you know, his 4th. He just came from the 09 Olympia to the 2010, and he got to ride that wave that he never got to feel.
Yeah, dude.
Really, that was also a great feeling too, because what happened was, like you said, at the time when it was like you were Ronnie or Jay, and then now all of a sudden after 09, even if you didn't like Jay, you respected the shit out of him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know? And now that's what it was really, really cool, because I got to be a part of that. And to this point, even, you know, after 59 years, no one besides him has ever won after losing the Open Olympia.
Yeah. And I don't think it's really,
and not to say it can't happen, because look,
it's,
you know, especially now
in this scope, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
You got to be a different dude, because the work ethic, I mean, we already talked about this, but the emotional intelligence,
right,
and the ability to be coachable and stay coachable and to be obsessed and to have the timing. You know, the thing that people don't realize is that the timing is everything in bodybuilding. You were talking about earlier, you know, Jay Cutler was wanting to go back to a one-day show format because of the timing of the prejudging and stuff like that.
It was a post.
And I get it, but at the same time, it's still the timing. We know the timing. You could decrease it. You could start the prejudging whenever, but like, there's always someone that figures it out, right, and some people that don't. That's fucking bodybuilding, man.
Right.
I really don't care. If someone told me, hey, Phil, like, you got to go on stage at 1 a.m., if I'm really about that shit, I'm about that shit. You're telling me that you can only get ready for a presentation at 10 a.m.? Let me tell you, being away from the stage, and I go, you know, do public speaking and stuff like that. I'll give you a quick one. I do an appearance over in Montreal. I'm supposed to fly in, hang out, go to a dinner, not speak, do a meet and greet. That next morning, talk, get on the plane, go home. I land to an hour and a half late, just because, you know, flights out of Miami suck, and, you know, it just shit gets delayed. I land.
Right.
I get to the hotel, see the suite, beautiful. They're like, you ready to go speak? I said, yep. I didn't bitch. I didn't moan. I was just like, yep. Because if you're ready, you're ready.
Right.
And your job is to always be ready.
Right.
Because why wouldn't you be ready? You're a professional. You're telling me that you're a surgeon. Let's be real about this. You're a surgeon. You're supposed to do surgery.
Right.
And you get the call that, let's say, LeBron James tears an ACL, and you got to be there. You're telling me you can't do it? Professionals fucking figure it out. So I respectfully disagree. I think that it should stay the same. I just say we need to do a better job at sticking to a time.
Mm-hmm. Instead of fluctuating.
You need better expediters, I guess, and stick to a freaking time. That's what you do. But as an athlete, could I have done, I mean, we talked about this many times. If there was a one-day show format, dude, like, I would have probably looked 10 times better in some shows. Maybe, I don't know. But the joy of knowing that I'm the first Mr. Olympia to ever win 7 in a 2-day show format.
Yeah. That's,
you learn so much. And as a coach, you learn.
Yeah.
You know, being able to work with different athletes and stuff. So, and that's what makes the Olympia very exciting. It makes it a big challenge. So to see Jay do what he did in both 09 and 10, it was a remarkable achievement. No one talks about the first 2. They talk about the last 2.
Right.
Yeah. They talk about actually what you guys did. It was to be up on that stage and be able to witness that carried me, you know, to the next level of not only just talking about me and being Mr. Olympia, but like being Mr. Olympia. Like, you can talk about it all you want. And we see these guys online, they always say like, yeah, I'm going to be champion. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, you're saying this shit because millions of people are watching your fucking channel. You're saying this shit because it sounds really cool. And someone's going to repost it and someone's going to do the Machiavelli motivational shit.
Right.
It's not coming from the soul.
You're very big on that. That's one thing that you are. You call a lot of people out, and not in public, but in general, like when people are trying to pretend to have an assassin mentality. But my question for you would be, how do you feel about the C-bums of the world who are not that, the assassin mentality, but they still get their shit done? Because doesn't that mean that there's more than one way to be able to win?
100%.
Okay.
I'm not going to look. There's multiple champions in our various divisions. I remember last year, not this year that just passed, this Olympia, but last year when C-Bone won and we were all backstage, and it was the first time me doing a live commentary. And you wanted to go out and you wanted to do fun stuff that you and I used to do.
Right.
And you're like, come on, man, let's paint the town red. It's Vegas, baby, and this and that. And I was like, bro, that's what he don't do that shit. You and I do that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Me
and Ronnie used to do it too.
Ronnie, myself, that's something
Yeah.
that we share.
Yeah.
He ain't like that. He's not that dude. He's the dude that wants to go back, spend
chill.
time with Courtney,
and his
hang
family.
out and family,
Yeah.
have some ice cream, whatever, and chill the fuck out, hang out. Hey, have his little
ice cream.
Hey, have his little dog Poppy and just chilling, man. Just be chilling. And look,
and you have some tacos.
And look, man, I respect it.
Right.
I just go by, look, I had to be that dude.
Yeah.
I think it's different, man. Would Chris maybe be different if he had someone, nipping at his heels like I did? Dude, I had to go against different types of people that brought a different type of energy. This is not discrediting what he's done. It's just different. I think when you have someone look, Kai Greene, you can't be nice.
Yeah.
This dude is the predator for a reason, bro. Let's keep it real, man. This is a dude that
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I got to cut you off because you talked about Kai. Was the beef real?
Oh, 100%, bro. If that motherfucker walked through these doors right now, everybody get quiet because they were wondering if
you guys are gonna go at it.
People still feel that.
When you guys were on stage, a lot of people at the time thought that you guys were playing it up for the cameras and because there were Generation Iron was shooting and all that other bullshit.
No.
Did they tell you to do any of that shit?
100%.
When he slapped, when he threw the hair at you and all that shit?
No, absolutely not. And this, the real shit. And I'm telling everybody here, Truth Podcast. I mean, we're here, right? You got to imagine a person like Kai, and you respect him for his work ethic and his sacrifices, right?
Right.
Imagine him going against me, a person who came from a different industry such as basketball. His nickname, The Gift, and he's won everything.
Yeah.
The sponsors, the that. He's not walking around with this, that, and the other. He's seeing success being rewarded, hard work being rewarded, but he's like, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm this. This is who I exemplify.
Are you saying because he had animosity towards you because of
100%? Why wouldn't you?
Okay.
Because I'm standing in his fucking way of being champion.
Right.
He's given up everything to be in this position. He's living with his trainer. Bro.
Yep.
The fight was real, bro. And I'm looking at him right there. We both had some words, man.
You guys got to make sure to put that piece on because a lot of people who haven't seen that, where they went on stage and they had to turn around and get Rope Man had to come in there and break it up.
So I think if you were to look at the analytics on that video alone, that video of he and I getting after it has had more views than any.
How many views does that one got, guys?
Just one in particular has over 60 million.
60 million views.
Just one of these accounts that has that video. And I confirmed that with Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment. One time we were just looking at shit, and it said 58 million at the time. This is 2 years ago.
Right.
So people love this conflict.
Right.
And it was authentic because Kai Greene, look, you're taking a deep breath right now, Hany, because you knew that it was real.
Oh, of course I knew, but I'm basically trying to get you to be able to go over things with the audience because sometimes these internet keyboard warriors will throw out conspiracy theories about, hey, this is bullshit, or what's going on with this guy. And,
so what you have to do,
they're trying to sell tickets to the movie.
So what we have to realize,
Generation Iron.
One major thing, it was our fans that started this whole beef. No question about it, because you got everybody saying to him, you're the champ,
right?
You're badass, fuck this dude.
Right.
Then I got my own people saying, nah, man, you the gift, fuck this dude.
Right.
So when we finally meet, it's almost like when you were in middle school, high school, someone's talking shit during lunch.
Yeah.
And then after school, you don't even know why you're beefing with this dude.
Yeah,
everybody's fight.
Right.
And you're like, I don't really want to fight, man. We're supposed to be friends.
Right.
And it just got to that point, bro. But I'll be honest, man. I've said it many, many times. The Olympia is everything. It's everything. You do not sign up to be a bodybuilder in this open category and not want to be Mr. Olympia? You're kidding yourself. So we pushed each other, man, and literally pushed each other
on stage,
and we gave each other a lot of fuel. And it was because of the work, though. It wasn't like a king.
When you guys talk to each other now, how is it when you guys run into each other?
Fuck you, Kai. Fuck you, Phil.
Really?
We'll say it like smiling.
Okay.
Now, but
has there have been a time since then that you guys were like cool, like you guys were hanging out? Was there ever a time
hanging out? That shit ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay. I'm in South Florida. He spends time in Boca. We have yet to hook up.
Right.
He has my number. I have his number. We have never said, hey, let's have lunch. I did mention to him, I was like, it's possible we could do lunch. But and then we're like, nah. Let's just let it be.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is nothing to really beef about. But you know what's funny? And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Like when I lost in 2018, he was the only pro that called me.
Really? What did he say?
He said, and I'm summarizing, he was just like, he's like, first of all, I want to make sure this shit ain't recorded. So fuck you, Phil Heath. That's what he said. I said, okay. He was like, but no, seriousness. He was like, you're a champion. Regardless of what happened, you're a champion. And what they're not realizing is that isn't the Phil Heath I went against.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone ever, you were injured. Yeah. And you were still good enough to win. He's like, can't really go online and say this, and I'm kind of putting them out there like that. But yeah, I mean, he was giving me my respect, and he was like, you're a champion, bro. As much as it kind of pains me, but you are that dude, and you're probably the last to do this that way. And I went against.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, like, it's going to be a very long, theoretically, I mean, who's going to be another 7-time?
Oh, he meant by the run.
Yeah. He's like, it's very difficult.
Run.
So he was talking about that, and he was like, whatever you choose to do, it should be more about your next chapter in life rather than just focusing on competing again. So he was the one that kind of told me I should indirectly kind of like walk away, or at least explore what that looks like, because he was on the other side already.
Right.
And he experienced really cool stuff, and he was just trying to, broaden my perception of this thing. And at the same time, I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like, you probably just saying that shit, so if I decide to walk away, you going to step in because you still looking big.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's where in my mind. But
you
at the same time,
that.
I was, very gracious that, he had hit me up, and
right.
I appreciated it, because I probably would have done the same for him, because a warrior is a warrior, and we respect those people who we battled with, like really went to war with.
He was a very admirable opponent.
It made me feel very, I felt appreciated, and for him to say those things, I still carry it, because I'm like, yeah, man, that's really what it comes down to, whether you like me or not. I mean, like, we were able to acknowledge each other's greatness, and,
you pushed each other.
We pushed each other, but
I mean, there was a lot of that.
It was a lot of that shit, bro. But like today, like he and I will one day, I don't know when, he and I probably will have a sit down somehow, some way. I think we are obviously on different paths, but they kind of intertwine here and there. But when it happens, I want to make sure that it's such an event that obviously we're both thriving in our lives in a much bigger scale outside of the sport, but then be able to, I've pitched the idea that we should probably do lecture series together, like on the road, like internationally, to let people see where we're at in life, and be able to do Q&As and stuff like that, because, who isn't going to sign up for that? Because someone's going to come up with a really good question.
There's going to be a lot of good questions,
and I don't want to deprive our fans of that. But it is, again, the timing of it, like my schedule and his schedule, we're in different, we're like, it's complex.
Well, let me ask you this. I've many times talked about Generation Iron on the movie, the first one that you and Kai were in, that was not a documentary, it was a docudrama. and how I went with you to Westfield Shopping Center, Valley Fair, and after that movie came out.
Do me a favor, hold that thought. I got to take a break. I got to go run the restroom.
Okay.
Can we do this? Okay. All right.